Good evening and welcome, one and all, to Pacific414 Pop Talk. I am your host, Mike, and tonight I have a few articles to talk about. One being about the creator of Trigun, talking about Trigun Stampede. Another article is about Tim Allen and his criticisms of Disney Pixar's Lightyear. There's another article in relation to future Ghostbusters sequels and the role that Winston Zeddemore will be playing in those movies. And of course, the third and final article for tonight. Well, third and final article for tonight will be about Stranger Things and spin-off plans that the creators have for any Stranger Things spin-offs. Also, there's other news as far as anime is concerned involving the producers slash creators of Stranger Things. But first, let's go ahead and get into the first article. But before I do that, I do want to say good evening, happy hump day to each and every one of you. Thank you all for stopping by and leaving likes prior to the stream or any likes that you leave during the stream or after the stream. I greatly appreciate it. Of course, I do want to say hello to George Lucas. Thank you, George. I even have an article talking about Indiana Jones and George Lucas saying how important the Indiana Jones franchise is to Hollywood in general. Let's go ahead before I go into that article, go into this article from Bounding into Comics about Taika Waititi and, well, the fact that he forgot that Natalie Portman was already in a Star Wars movie. It says, announced Star Wars writer and director Taika Waititi claims he forgot about prequel films starring Natalie Portman. This article was posted just today, and it's by John F. Trent. It says, Thor Love and Thunder director and upcoming director and writer for an untitled Star Wars film, Taika Waititi recently revealed he forgot about the Star Wars prequel film starring Natalie Portman. How could you forget about the prequel films? For a whole generation, that's their Star Wars films. Yeah, guys, these people, I swear. Waititi spoke with Rolling Stone to promote Thor Love and Thunder ahead of the film's release. During the interview, he was asked, what was your initial conversation with Natalie Portman like? Waititi responded, basically, I was like a lot of fans, Miss Jane Foster, and people want to see her again. It just seemed like the perfect opportunity because the character was so great in the Jason Aaron run of Thor. And real quick, before I get too far ahead, I do want to say good evening to Alan Copeland. How are you doing today, brother? It goes on to say the director then detailed how they brought Portman back to the role of Foster. Kevin Feige was already like, I'd love to try to figure out a way to bring Mighty Thor into this film and bring Natalie back. It didn't take much convincing. She had never heard of that run of the comic, so I just dropped off some comics for her anytime you ask. How did we cast so and so? We offered them millions of dollars and they said yes. Laughs. Oh, there's a happy picture right there. Not really, but he then touched on Star Wars, revealing that Portman asked him what he planned to do next after Thor Love and Thunder. Waititi recalled, Natalie said to me, what do you do next? And I said, on a Star Wars thing. Have you ever wanted to be in a Star Wars movie? She said, I've been in Star Wars movies. I forgot about those ones. Laughs. Right. I'm not doing too bad, Alan. Not doing too bad. I will show you something in case you didn't see it earlier today, but I'll show it to you after this article and before we segue into the next article. Star Wars and Lucasfilm announced Waititi would be directing and co-writing an upcoming Star Wars film back on May 4th, 2020. The announcement stated Academy Award winner Taika Waititi, who recently won Best Adapt- Adapted Screenplay for Jojo Rabbit and directed the widely acclaimed first season finale episode of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, will direct and co-write a new Star Wars feature film for theatrical release. Joining Waititi on the screenplay will be Academy Award nominee Christy Wilson Cairns, 1917, Last Night in Soho, who received a BAFTA award for Outstanding British Film of the Year on the three-time Oscar-winning film 1917, it added. While Waititi imitated, intimidated, ah, I'm already screwing up. Sorry, guys. While Waititi intimated to Rolling Stone he will be working on Star Wars next, in an interview with the New York Times at the end of June, he indicated the film might never get made. He told them, I'm trying to write the Star Wars idea at the moment. I've got to see how that goes because once I submit it, that might determine when it gets made or if it gets made even. Waititi also told the paper, I am cool as well to take 6 months off and just hang out with my kids. And of course, I'll be honest, I don't buy his claim that he forgot that Natalie Portman was in the Star Wars prel- prequel trilogy, but if he did, that's a blunder on his part for not knowing some of her previous roles and not knowing that she was already in the Star Wars film. Of course, there is another article here on Bound in the Comics that I will get to shortly, but real quick, as promised, because I had told Alan Copeland I would, so I had something to share with him and share with anybody who, you know, wants to know, because, they did play this afternoon up in Milwaukee against the Brewers. And doing this will always be part of this channel's DNA. It's a final in Milwaukee this afternoon as the Cubs were able to rally for one in the top of the seventh and one in the I'm sorry, the top of the eighth and one in the top of the ninth to win the series in Milwaukee 2 games to 3 and win this final game up in Milwaukee by a score of 2-1. Rafael Ortega would hit the go ahead RBI in the top of the eighth, scoring Christopher Morel. That was a base hit to right field. And then with Patrick Wisdom on second, you had PJ Higgins up at the plate, and he would knock in the go ahead RBI double off Josh Hader. The second time during this series, the Cubs have been able to either tie or get the go ahead run off of Brewers closer Josh Hader. And with that, the Cubs leave Milwaukee and began a 4 game series out in Los Angeles with the Dodgers tomorrow evening at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific time. Your winning pitchers for this afternoon for the Cubs, and he's earned 5 wins in the relief, is Michael Givens. The loss goes to Josh Hader. He falls to 0-2. And the save goes to David Robinson, who had a bounce back after blowing the save on Monday on the 4th of July. So with that, the Cubs improved to 34-48 on the season, and the Brewers fall to 47-32 on the season. So that's it for that update. I had planned on doing it, even though this isn't the box score. I'm still gonna occasionally bring them up, and I do want to say Good evening to Captain Fandom Nerd. Always good to see you, my friend. And of course, we have Alan Copeland saying hello to Captain Fandom Nerd. We also have Captain Fandom Nerd saying hello to Alan Copeland. So let's go ahead and move on to this next article from Bounding into Comics, which is related to the Taika Waititi article where he didn't know that Natalie Portman was in the prequel trilogy. And here we go. Of course, I still don't buy it. I, how could you know, buy what he's saying? And oops, sorry, posted the same one up there on the screen, but my intention for that, and I do apologize. And I'm bound to make mistakes. I'm only human. There we go. I meant to post the previous article for anybody who would like to read it, as I will do with this next article before I share it on screen. There we go. That one is shared in the chat. And let's go ahead and share it on screen. I am going to put the StreamYard link into the chat, but I want to let you all know that I'm only planning on going till 10 o'clock tonight. No longer, because I want to give myself a break between 10 and then midnight when I go live for my live reaction and review of episode 6 of The Orville. So here is the invite link for anybody who wishes to join. But again, once 10 o'clock comes, I will be ending the broadcast. And yes, Phil, you can charge an error to me for making that boo boo. So, this other article in relation to Thor: Love and Thunder director Taika Waititi says that he casts doubts on whether his Star Wars film will ever get made. This was posted yesterday on their website. It's by John F. Trent, and it says Thor: Love and Thunder director and IG-11 actor Taika Waititi recently cast some doubt on whether or not his announced Star Wars film will ever get made. Waititi's Star Wars film was announced to direct and co-write a new Star Wars film on May 4th, 2020. On the official Star Wars website, Lucasfilm announced Academy Award winner Taika Waititi, who recently won Best Adapted Screenplay for Jojo Rabbit and directed the widely acclaimed first season finale of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, will direct and co-write a new Star Wars feature film for theatrical release. They added joining Waititi, and this is the same exact stuff that was in the last article. They added joining Waititi on the screenplay will be Academy Award nominee Christy Wilson Kearns. And of course, 1917, Last Night in Soho, who received the BAFTA Award for Outstanding British Film of the Year on the three-time Oscar-winning film 1917. However, the film not make it out of development, and I'm sure they meant to say something else. As Waititi recently told the New York Times, he is still trying to write the script for the film. I'm trying to write the Star Wars idea at the moment. I've got to see how that goes because once I submit it, that might determine when it gets made or if it gets made. Yeah, so a lot of this is from the last article. You know, if he gets it made, he'll be working 6 months. If he doesn't get it made, he'll have 6 months off. And it says, Wachiti's comments come amid middling fans' feedback for the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, despite Ewan McGregor claiming the show's premiere was the most watched Disney Plus premiere of all time. Yeah, that's because they aired both episodes back to back. And the first episode was good. The second episode, not so much. And every subsequent episode, I'm 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 sorry, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. Well, in my have been the most watched Disney Plus premiere of all time. The show was trounced by Stranger Things, according to newly released Nielsen data. Nielsen reports that Obi-Wan Kenobi's first 3 episodes was brought in 958 million minutes watched, while Stranger Things racked up 7.203 billion minutes watched. Obi-Wan Kenobi was even beaten by The Lincoln Lawyer in its third week on the charts. Well, that's because it wasn't good. And I do want to say hello to Games, Movies, and Comics R Us. Welcome, GMC. And I also want to say hello to the Padawannabe. How you doing, brother? Okay, it's also says on IMDb, Obi-Wan Kenobi only has a 7.1 weighted average rating out of 10 from 123,595 IMDb users. Still, that's not good. And then, of course, the Rotten Tomatoes score, critics are giving it an 83, fans are giving it a 63. Of course, what wasn't there a video, and I could be wrong, but wasn't there a video made by Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers where he had shown that the rating was lower than the 63%, and it was shortly after he posted that video that by some miracle, and I put miracle in quotes, the rating actually went up. If somebody can, let me know that information, I really do appreciate it. And what do I make of his comics? I don't think the movie's getting made. I don't think there's going to be a Star Wars movie for a long time because it's a damaged brand. It's a damaged brand, and they have themselves to blame. And please welcome at this time, Phil McCracken.
What's up?
Not much, brother. Not much.
Can we officially say now that when it comes to Disney, two of their brands have now intermingled and locked horns. It is now Marvel Wars. They shouldn't have a president of Marvel and a president of Lucasfilm because they're the same company now. They're doing everything the same. So they might as well scrap everything and merge everything completely, and they can save money because they're using the same directors, they're using the same actors. It's
they all answer to JPEG. At the end of the day, they all answer to JPEG.
JPEG and the board of directors. Never forget that is where the real power is at. The board of directors. And again, just so people know, George Lucas and Steven Spielberg might have the biggest shares in Disney right now. They're not on the board of directors. Nope. They're not on the board of directors. But
they should be as shareholders.
They should be, but they're not. Just because you're the largest shareholder does not put you on the board of directors.
I know that. You know, my tendency is I tend to say exactly what's on my mind and speak it out loud most of the time. I don't know when to shut up.
I know what you're saying. In a legit world, you would think these two gentlemen should be, and probably you want to know something, they probably don't want to be. But
you can't blame them.
They should be on there. They should be on there.
And I do want to say hello to Jet Sparks. How are you doing this evening, Jet Sparks?
But as far as this Waitaki character, I think he's a nut job. I thought that he would, he might have made a couple good movies, give him all that. Come on now. He knew Natalie Portman did Star Wars. I think his more question was meant to be, and it didn't come out the way it came out, was, do you want to go back to Star Wars for me? That's what I think he meant to ask.
Mm-hmm. And hello to Cap Stargate. Well, from what I've been seeing about the early reviews of Thor: Love and Thunder, I don't think anybody's going to want to go see a Star Wars movie directed by him.
Well, Here's the thing: if the direction of Star Wars, and we know it's on a downward spiral, look, as I told people, 4 minutes of Luke Skywalker in the last episode of The Mandalorian was not a turnaround. That was like a worm on a hook, and you're the fish. They didn't even give the man Luke Skywalker a whole episode. They gave him a lousy 4 minutes. 4 minutes. And everybody was singing the praises. Star Wars was back. How'd that turn out, Pacific?
Uh, it turned out like Monday's Cubs Brewers game where the Cubs blew the lead they had in the ninth, and then they blew the game in the 10th with a Victor Caratini 3-run home run for the Brewers to win. There, you got it right there.
There you go. Sometimes people don't think, and you know what? You get any type of professional team, you fire the head coach, but you don't fire his staff. You might as well have left the staff and the coach, because if you want change, you need to fire everybody, clean the slate. But if you fire the coach and you promote someone from the staff to be the coach, and you're practically keeping the same staff, you're asking for the same results. It's just how the world works. It's how things work.
I was gonna say, tell that to the Ricketts family.
I like I said, I can use the sports analogies. Yeah. Oh, look, they're asking me in chat, man. The Brits. I'm sorry. I celebrate the 4th of July because we kicked the Brits out. I ain't going to call my friends. You kick somebody out of your house, you're going to say, oh, you're my friend? That don't work that way. But
yeah, we don't need any international instances tonight.
I'll be nice. But I just take you like TG and all this stuff. Look, Disney Star Wars hit a rock bottom when they had The Last Jedi. Everything didn't get changed. They might have moved things around, pushed things back. The Boba Fett movie became The Mandalorian. The Boba Fett character ended up having a series, but let's just call it the worst thing ever. And then they gave us the Obi-Wan movie, which I'm glad they didn't make it into a movie, because I don't think that could have even pulled in $100 million. I think they did the best thing was to make it a TV show. But as far as I'm concerned with Star Wars right now, the best thing they can do is forget about it.
And leave it alone. I'm going to bring something else up too. The fact that you have Star Wars fans divided. You have the ones that are in our camp where we're done. We're absolutely done. And then you have others that are saying we're haters because we're giving up on Disney Star Wars, but they're not giving us anything to grasp towards. It's like, I'm bringing it up again, folks. Sorry. Like I said, it's part of this channel's DNA. It's part of my DNA. Cub fans, we're divided too. There are Cub fans who say, everything's going to be fine. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. And then there are other Cub fans like me who are saying changes need to be made. You need to start making changes now. You need to start looking to the future so the team can be competitive. That's pretty much what you want for Star Wars and Star Trek. You want them to make the appropriate changes, the right changes by getting the right people to, excuse me, right the ship. You want to get the ship back on track. You want to get it to where it's a successful ship again. Where, again, in baseball terms, sports terms, it's not a team that's a 500 team. It's an above 500 team that will go out there and, give you a great performance as far as acting, but that's accompanied by a great script. Because in that script is a great story to be told.
You don't want your team. It's impossible every year for your team to win the World Series. You might get a fluke here and there where a couple teams, win three, wins 6 out of 10. It's a fluke when that happens. What you really want, particularly in baseball, you want a competitive team. If they make it to the playoffs and they fight hard, let's say they even get knocked out the first round, but they won 2 out of the 3, and the 3 that they lost were very close. You couldn't ask no more from your team.
Mm-hmm.
You can't ask for that. You'll accept that. But when you build a team and you got a coach and you build a staff around them and everything, and the best they can do is win 40 games, in some cases not even 30 games in this season. First one season you can say, okay, maybe there's learning and there's a little building up going on. The second season, you can't still win more than 30 games. Then you have to start questioning, okay, there's something wrong in this situation. And 9 times out of 10, the way to correct it, you cut the head coach and you cut his staff, because the staff is not going to do anything different than if the coach was there. You're just using the same people. You have to clean house. And in baseball, it's more important because you don't just got your major league team. You got your AAA, you got your AA, you even got your scout team. You got to do all that. You got to go with agents, and you got to go with even your people that are scouting out the minor leagues. You got to clean house. You got to. A lot of these owners don't like doing that, but everyone, when you're building a team, sometimes that's what you got to do. You can't recycle all the time. You can do it maybe 1 year, maybe when a coach wants to leave, where certain staff members leave. You can probably plug in here and there and do a little recycling. But the bottom line is, once you really get, it's time to move on and rebuild and restructure, you got to clean house. There's no other way of putting it.
And real quick, I just want to say good evening to Jet Sparks. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Hello.
And the Padawannabe says, this Disney Star Wars makes me, as a fan, go after the older printed stuff even more. I'll get my true Star Wars fix there. Yeah, a lot of fans feel that way.
As a EU fan, personally, yeah, everyone go explore the old EU. Believe me, there's a lot of good stories you will not be disappointed by. I personally recommend the Darth Bane trilogy and Darth Plagueis.
I've heard people talk about them. They've recommended that to me. They've recommended the Thrawn trilogy to me. I'll admit, when it comes to the EU, I haven't read as much as a lot of people. I'm going to admit that right here, right now.
You hear this stuff, and I really was big into the EU. I had the books and everything. You hear this thing, well, it was unorganized. No, it was not. From the moment that Timothy Zahn wrote the first what you would really call EU book with his Thrawn series, George Lucas' hand was in everything. And what I mean hand is, before they can agree to print the book, George Lucas had, yes, you can do this. No, you can't do that. Particularly, only thing they were ever limited to from 1991 to 1999 was they were never allowed to discuss in their books the Clone Wars. That was it. That was a no-no. Nobody was allowed to venture there. And they didn't. Yes. And you got some awesome books. If you go in comparison, anybody can look right now, and you go look at the EU books from the time when George owned Star Wars, and you look at the EU books that Disney put out, you look at who's the best number one bestsellers. You look at the ones that got the awards. Now, Not that the Disney Star Wars EU don't have bestsellers or won awards, but we're in the age where Disney does not care if they need to buy 250,000 books to put their book as number one. Disney's going to do that. Where compared to George, he didn't care one way or the other if the book was number one. They made number one.
Another thing to mention is that the very first like true EU book that was ever written, I know some people may consider it non-canon, some people may not, is the book Splinter of the Mind's Eye by Alan Dean Foster.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I consider it an EU book and the thing. But the thing you have to remember, they didn't start tying the books in order. Like, for example, as soon as
The prequels.
Timothy Zahn was done his first book, first series, the next series was given to somebody else. That guy had to go to Timothy Zahn and say, okay, this is what you did with these characters. Even though Timothy Zahn made some of these characters,
Yes.
he didn't own them characters.
Yeah,
True.
like
and real quick, we've got a nerd alert.
Nerd alert!
Oh, okay.
Nerd
thank you.
for life form.
Why, thank you for that.
No. I'm not doing it to be insulting. I'm doing it.
No. I actually welcome that because yes, I am a nerd.
There's nothing wrong with being a nerd.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. No, I will take that as a compliment.
Know this: everybody is a nerd in some form or fashion. Everybody, even those who claim who are never nerds, everybody's a nerd. You're a nerd in something.
Yes, and I think the next series you're referring to that was actually got the go ahead from Timothy Zahn is probably the new Jedi Order books, right?
Yes, and I forget who wrote that 3-book series.
No, I think there's multiple books from the Jedi New Jedi Order that follows.
If I remember correctly, it went from the 3-book series of Timothy Zahn. Then it was, I believe, Anderson and the Jedi Order. Then there was another series of books. That person's the one who came up with Admiral Dala. She was just as good as Thrawn, but she was a female. She was badass and didn't need to have to be promoted as a woman to do it. I did an excellent job. Then Timothy Zahn came back with 2 more books. Yes, it was the fake Thrawn, but even the fake Thrawn was enough to put the fear of God into the New Republic. Beautiful book. There are 2-book series in that. But each one of the books was tied to the book before it and the book after it. That was the beauty of George Lucas's EU. And that's the way he intended it. It was like, okay, I'm going to continue the story and I'm going to let these people write the story, but it's all going to be in order. And then I believe you can go all the way to the final book when Jana Solo fights Jason Solo.
Yes.
And the only way she was able to beat him was she couldn't beat him fighting Jedi against a fallen Jedi / Sith. The only way she was able to beat him was because Boba Fett trained her. So she had to resort to Mandalorian fighting style along with her Jedi fighting style. She had what they call... you would call them gauntlets, but in the Mandalorians call them I hate to say it, crush nuts. They're fists. They were armored fists, and if a lightsaber hit that armor, it had Cortos on it. And
Cortosis or Mandalorian Beskar.
Yeah,
which is like the one thing they did take from the EU. I think I'm pretty sure about that. But
the Cortos had the ability, if a lightsaber struck it,
yes,
the lightsaber deactivated.
Yes,
So
it can break it. Heck, even sorry.
That's why a lot of people don't know. That's how Darth Raven was able to beat Mandalore, was because and the reason why he wielded 2 lightsabers was because as soon as one deactivated, he had the other one on the other hand ready to go while he was reactivating the other lightsaber.
Exactly. And
Yep.
I mean, no, you talk about Mandalorian Beskar. Beskar and Cortosis are 2 of the most durable
armors.
Yeah, I'm saying armors or material or darn it,
But
alloys that can basically stop lightsaber bolts. I mean, again, we saw a little bit of how that kind of goes in action in Mando season 2.
Beskar doesn't deactivate the lightsaber.
Yeah, it just resists it. It can just withstand it. But Cortosis can deactivate it. It can break a lightsaber.
It actually, when the lightsaber hits, it deactivates. There's the difference.
Yes.
So, and that was the secret of the Mandalorian that became a Jedi. One of his abilities was his armor was Cortos. He was perfect to be trained for a Jedi. So
yes,
and that all comes from the EU.
I mean, Cortosis is mentioned in Darth Plagueis in like the very first chapter of it, and it even mentioned that Darth Bane himself even minded on the world of Apatros. Many years, the very man who reformed the Sith.
Well, you have to remember the Sith in the books, with Darth Bane books, the Sith were being defeated by the Jedi.
Yes, and of course they believe that
they most of the Sith bound together to make what they would call
the Brotherhood of Darkness.
Bomb. Yeah.
Yes, and came together with the Thought Bomb. Yes.
Yep. And what happens in that Force Bomb? Everybody inside that radius.
Yeah, they're sucked in. They're sucked into it, and they die. Their bodies are torn apart, but their spirits are caught in like some sort of massive state of equilibrium. They're basically in like a perpetual limbo.
Right, and that's the reason why there was not a lot of Sith in the whatever you want to call it. I don't want to call it High Republic, but
during the Old Republic.
Yep, there was not a lot of Sith because most of the Sith were involved. What remained of them, but that last stand, it was against a general named Hoth. The general the reason why they call that planet Hoth because there was a Jedi general.
Yeah. No, in fact, he wasn't actually not only a Jedi general, but he actually had the rare title of Jedi Lord, where he was even considered a king among the planets they protected from Sith attack during that time, during the new Sith Wars.
Yep. Like I said, there's a lot in the EU, and there's so many books. They got about 40 books. I totally stay away from the Disney Star Wars.
Absolutely.
EU. I am perfectly happy with the EU books that I have, and the old Star Wars, the first 6 movies, and that's fine. Fine for
exactly.
Me.
That's all any Star Wars fans needs, especially with what Disney's doing now. So, moving and switching gears, I have an article here from Superhero Hype that says the Duffer Brothers tease a new tone for Stranger Things spin-off series. And this is the first of 2 Duffer Brothers related articles I have for you tonight. This article was posted on their website yesterday. And it says Stranger Things 4 is over and Stranger Things 5 has yet to be filmed. However, if the response to the 4th season is any indication, the future of Stranger Things franchise looks bright. Netflix hasn't formally ordered a Stranger Things spin-off series, but it seems likely to happen. During a new interview with the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, series creator Matt and Ross Duffer admitted that they haven't pitched it directly to Netflix yet, but assuming it goes forward, it will have a much different tone than the original series. They also shot down rumors of returning characters headlining the show. It goes on to say it's not following. I've read these rumors that there's going to be an 11 spinoff, that there's going to be a Steve and Dustin spinoff, or that it's another number. Said the Duffers. That's not interesting to us because we've done all that. We spent I don't know how many hours exploring all that. So it's very different. They added the new show is 1,000% different from Stranger Things. The Duffers also indicated that they plan to hand off the project to a new showrunner while we go on to do new stuff. Additionally, the Duffers stressed there are between Stranger Things and its spinoff, but tonally the spinoff will stand on its own. The most important connective tissue, I would say, is the storytelling sensibility of it, noted the Duffers. There is story that connects to the Stranger Things world, but it really is more about how we're telling that story. Stranger Things 4 is now streaming. However, there's no word when Stranger Things 5 will begin production. What do you want to see from the Stranger Things spinoff? Let us know in the comments section below. And, you know, Nerdporial, if you're still here and you want to chime in on this, you're more than welcome. You know, you're always welcome on the channel. And anyone else who has seen Stranger Things season 4, if you want to chime in on this, go ahead. I'll just sit back and listen.
I have never watched Stranger Things like at all. I don't really see the hype. I don't really see the real hype around it though. I don't know. Just and also plus I don't really have Netflix anymore.
I pretty much is like Just Work. I'm after the cutie thing. I was done with Netflix. I refuse to go back there. So, if it's a good thing, I'm glad people have things to watch. I hope it's to their liking. If that's what they want to watch, that's fine. I'm not going to hold it against them. Maybe it's something that's not been politicized and woke enough that people can enjoy it. I hope they do more that way. Maybe it might draw people back to Netflix. But yeah, for me, overall, I can't support a company that put out cuties. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
I get that. I get that wholeheartedly. I haven't even watched Cuties. The only time I've actually reactivated my subscription was to watch Cobra Kai, and that's it.
I can understand that because people do like Cobra Kai. They loved it when uh, Karate Kid was a big movie hit. The whole series. Uh, the last one was iffy in the movies for me. I didn't say I didn't like the idea of the Karate Girl, but uh, I think it was watered down because it was the fourth movie in the series, and
Mhm.
sometimes by the time the fourth series of a movie comes around, and even if you're trying to interject something new, it's watered down. You know, very
Yeah, I've
rarely
tried
can
to
you.
watch The Next Karate Kid several times, and I can never get through it.
Mhm.
I always seem to stop at the same scene over and over again because it's just not that good. So
Mm.
our our next article here is also about the Stranger Things creators, but they are looking to helm a live action Death Note series. And if anybody knows the history between Netflix and live action adaptations of an anime series, this is not good.
Oh, it's never good. Pacific, it never is.
Now, I can say, and I'm being honest here, I'm still fairly new when it comes to anime, but even I can tell you this is not a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, look at the train. Like the train wreck, it just looked bad. It automatically looked bad. Because I mean, it's kind of ironic. Like I actually got finished watching Cowboy Bebop just a few days. It's like about a week ago. I finally completed the whole series. It's just excellent. It's 26 episodes of absolute greatness for that show. Just the original anime. But
Yeah, I watched the original Cowboy Bebop, and my sister gave me the Blu-rays for Christmas. So
nice. But I'm gonna say it though. It's just kind of ironic that Daniel Pineda said that, oh, I don't want to wear a phase outfit because again it wouldn't fit my because I'm too short for that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? There is literally a show that she was on where she is literally wearing a very skimpy outfit, but it's like pink, and she's going around and she's having even like other chicks like slapping her butt and whatnot. It's just like seriously, lady. Yeah, you're not gonna wear it, and yet you're doing that and acting like you're running around, you're just walking around dancing like you're a dang stripper or something for this live action show you were in. And even then, people like made like mock-ups of how she would look by just changing the color of that outfit and just giving her purple and giving like beige purplish black hair.
Yeah, it's no different than the wrestling attire that female wrestlers wear. I've watched plenty of wrestling before I got bored of it, and honestly, she's complaining all about nothing. And when she attacked the fans, well, she pretty much put the kibosh in any hope for the series taking off.
Yeah, and of course, I know even though with like Jurassic World Dominion, her role is extremely reduced. She was like literally only in the movie for like one scene, like she's gone for the rest of the film. I guess Trevorrow understood that. Yeah, a lot of people really didn't like these characters.
That's a good thing, don't you think? A director or a writer recognizes that fans just don't care for a character, so they reduce the
they
role.
didn't care for her character. But I know, again, same thing with Justice Smith's character. He also was reduced. He only got a couple more scenes, but in Fallen Kingdom, he was the most insufferable person I could have ever seen on screen. And sure, he was fine in Detective Pikachu, but just come on. Seriously, just stop. You were literally saying the same kind of stuff that a 10-year-old would be asking their parents who brought them to see the movie. Like, is that the T-Rex? Is that the T-Rex? Dude, shut up. I just could not stand him in that movie. I just couldn't.
I get you. there are just certain actors and characters where the moment you see them on screen, you just cringe.
Well, I know one thing. Her look in Dominion just looked like, yeah, she looks like her. Like, at least she looked somewhat interesting, because I know she looked kind of like, again, she's supposed to be like some sort of paleo veterinarian, but she's supposed to be like some sort of like, she's supposed to be, she kind of came off as sort of like a nerd, like a sort of nerdy type chick, but now she went like full SJW, like one side of her hair is like, obviously shaved a bit, and it's like one side looking like she's Skrillex or something. Again, just
Yeah.
like,
I don't get that look. I really don't.
yeah, I never did.
So
But
go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
also, yeah, they also are doing a live action Avatar series for Netflix too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, everyone, just stick to watching. Just watch the original show. If you have Paramount Plus, it's out there. Just go watch it there. And Legend of Korra, if you love that show too.
And honestly, that's pretty much all I'm going to do is stick with the original animes. Although I will admit, I'm not going to jump into One Piece anytime soon. Not with over 1,000+ episodes. I'm just not ready to go that deep into a series yet. So this article from Bounty in the Comics was posted just today, and it's by Spencer Bacali, and it says, following the conclusion of Stranger Things 4th season, series creators Matt and Ross Stuffer have revealed that their intent on not only keeping their creative endeavors at Netflix, but also continuing on in the world of mystery horror with a live action adaptation of writer and Phil, go ahead and criticize me. Tsugumi Oba. Why is that kicking in?
Oh, lordy.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
We're causing an international incident, and I am not responsible. I just listen.
Right.
One day, Mike, we're going to go to a Japanese restaurant. We're going to let you order. And the menu be in Japanese, and you have to order in Japanese.
Well, then I'll do my best.
And no, we're not going to have sushi. No sushi allowed. That's too easy for them.
Funny. I actually ate some California rolls not too long ago.
So this article goes on to say, as announced in a Deadline exclusive published on July 6th of today, the sibling creative team have formed a new production company, Upside Down Pictures, through which they will work on several new projects for the streaming giant. According to the brothers, Upside Down will strive to create stories that take place at the beautiful crossroads where the ordinary meets the extraordinary, where big spectacle coexists with intimate character work, where heart wins over cynicism. Placed in charge of this new venture is Hilary Levitt, a former BBC America and MRC employee whose credits include various contributions to such shows as Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and Ozark. All three shows I've never watched, to be honest. Of Levitt's hiring, the brothers explained in a statement, it didn't take long into our first meeting with Hillary where we bonded over films like Jaws, Home Alone, and Speed to know we had found a kindred spirit. Hillary's passion for storytelling is perhaps matched only by her passion for the storytellers themselves, for whom she is fiercely protective. They added, no wonder so many writers and directors are drawn to working with her. She is a rare talent indeed, and we feel extremely grateful to have her at our side as we build Upside Down Pictures. In her own statement, Levitt told the press, I remember the first movie I saw in the theaters, the first VHS tape I got for Christmas, the first international one sheet I bid for on eBay because it was cooler than domestic. And the first time I met Matt and Ross. All these seminal moments have led to this ridiculously cool opportunity to build a company with the Duffer Brothers where we produce movies and television because we love movies and television. This love is at the core of Upside Down Pictures, where we're able to collaborate with other artists on projects across full spectrum of genre. We all love what we do and are excited to do more and more. As per Variety, once they wrap up Stranger Things with its upcoming fifth season, the brothers will proceed to work on at least 5 projects, including the aforementioned live action Death Note series, a new series from Dark Crystal, Age of Resistance creators Jeffrey Addis and Will Matthews, a series based on Stephen King and Peter Straub's 1984 novel The Talisman, as adapted by Stranger Things co-executive producer and writer Curtis Gwynn, and co-producer alongside Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment and Paramount Television. And then it also says a stage play based on the world of Stranger Things, currently set to be developed by UK stage producer Sonia Friedman and The Crown director Stephen Daldry. And finally, a live action Stranger Things spinoff. As of writing, further details regarding each production are currently unavailable. Notably, the Duffer Brothers take on Death Note ever. Ah, I'll start that over. I apologize. Notably, should the Duffer Brothers take on Death Note ever materialize, it will be the second such Western live action adaptation of the manga following Netflix's infamous film. To that end, whether the Duffers can learn from the mistakes of the past remains to be seen. What do you make of the Duffer Brothers' plans to give the concept of a live action Death Note a second chance at Netflix? I've already said it. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, but of course, that's the whole thing. Though they think that this is definitely what people want. Just like how EA envisions, look at all this money I have. Why won't someone take all this money? And that's how I envision our target audience.
I see this as, again, Hollywood in particularly does not have any ideas. So, like years ago, they start going to Marvel. DC was already in the mix years ago, but Marvel now, to find new ideas for shows or Netflix movies, what are they doing? Manja. Uh, is it going to have the same feel as the manja you know it? I can pretty much say no. They're going to take it what is a Japanese animation and they're going to Americanize it, water it down, change it.
Yeah, hell,
Yeah,
that's the reason why even live action shows like Squid Game and films like Parasite and Train to Busan, they are kicking serious butts.
Mhm.
And that's the whole thing. I even heard they're gonna do an American. They're gonna try to do an American remake of Train to Busan. And I already know it's gonna be terrible.
I don't think they can do it because, like I said, it's nothing that you can't put Japanese culture and ideas that's where it's being made, take it, make it, and adapt it to an American audience, and think that they're going to, like I said, you have a lot of people here that are anime fans, grew up anime fans, uh, even to this day. But are you going to trust them with something that you love? You already see what's going on with the other franchises. Do you, I wouldn't even trust these people making a Godzilla movie. In their minds, it's only a giant lizard that walks around, stomps on buildings, blows things up, and goes back into the water, and you don't see him again.
Yeah. Well, in 1998, I think that's probably what Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich didn't only
Yep.
thought about. But of course, and look what happened with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. And when it comes to, I hate to say it, I love the idea of these the Netflixes and the Amazons going there and trying to put their stamp on things. It also is a double-edged sword because you look again what Netflix has been doing lately the last couple of years. They've gone to bizarre world
Yeah.
and not just with like when I say cuties, but you look at Amazon. If that stuff bombs over there with that Lord of the Rings, that's going to be. If you thought to start the Trekkies, if you thought that the Star Wars fans, you mess with Token that way.
Oh, believe me.
It,
May
it
God have I would say may God have mercy on your soul. I'm not a
is.
Tolkien fan, but seriously, if they do this, I only say to Amazon to Mr. Bezos himself, may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, and like I said, I can almost guarantee it's. I hope people learned their lesson when it came to Kenobi, that when you thought the rumors were true, they came to be true. They were true.
And and
Sometimes
and
you got
and,
to listen to the rumors.
and that's why I didn't watch it.
Yep. Yep. Like I said, in today's world, like I said, I rather these places and these companies start going back and they got their ideas from the top 10 books of the that was being sold in on the New York Times best 10. You know, there's a lot of books, some in the top 20. Grab one of them books, talk to the author, and write a movie, write a show. It's not that hard to go into these. Some comic books should never become TV show or movies.
Yeah, I can only imagine what would happen. I know people didn't really like the movie Mystery Men, but I know at this point it's probably a cult classic now. But the thing is, we already know those movies are that movie's based off the Dark Horse Flaming Carrot comics, and I know we already know there already were fans. There were fans of those books for a long time. I know some of them at the time when we came out, I think they were kind of disappointed by it. But if they try to do it now, I'm not sure how well it's going to be received, because if you kind of like mess around with a certain fan base, even if it's a niche fan base, trust me, you're going to get some backlash always.
The only thing I would say is this: no matter what they do over here in the United States, if they make garbage and trash of some of this anime from Japan, it's never going to make it in Japan. It won't even be put on the airwaves. So Japanese are very particular and very protective of their content and what they create. So we make a movie of, say,
as they should be.
yeah, oh yeah, it should. We should be the same way. But the thing is, if we ruin, say tomorrow, Disney wants to do another Speed Racer movie, and we woke it and we put our beliefs and other stuff into it and change what Speed Racer is supposed to be about, a cartoon, that's never going to be. If you think you're going to ship a Blu-ray disc over to Japan of that, they're not going to take it. They're going to leave it. The Japanese are they had this thing, the Japanese inspection. That is, if they don't like something, they leave it at the dock. Okay, let's just say they don't want your beef. So your beef is at the dock, and they're not going to inspect it. They probably won't inspect it for a month. Well, a month's time, that beef's already going to be unedible. So you're going to get it's not going to get sold. You're going to end up having to dump it, and Japan's going to be, we don't care.
Well, another thing that Japan's doing now with anime, because of the crap that Funimation's been pulling when they receive the animes and they do the English dubs, is they're actually doing the dubs over in Japan and then sending the
it back over here.
Yeah, they're basically localizing it natively overseas, and of course there are a lot of prolific like actors who have done anime, like Johnny Young Bosch, who is well known as like the second Black Mighty Morphin Power Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
He's done one of the ones he's most notable for is voicing characters in Bleach, and also he voiced Kaneda in the 2001 redub of Akira.
Yep, I mean, my friend who tried to get me into anime, and then the one that actually caught my interest was My Hero Academia. He says, you probably don't know any of the voice actors that are on any of these shows, and I'm looking through the list and I see Johnny on Bosch. I said, yeah, I see the second Black Ranger on there, Adam. He says, how do you know who he is? I said, kidding? Power Rangers was a guilty pleasure back in the day.
I still love this franchise. Heck, it even inspired a few stories I'm actually writing right now as we speak. Or stories I've had in my head ever since I was like 14, because it's just it was such a prolific series. It's had such a very profound impact on my life.
Mm-hmm.
And still love it to this day. It may be cheesy, it may be ridiculous at times, but come on. Again, this is coming from a live action series from Tokusatsu from Japan. And again, this is also a byproduct of Japan. So all the shows like Ultraman, all those things, it's in the same genre.
Yep.
And yeah, in the old Godzilla films, they're in the same genre.
I'm going to say this. I don't think your Netflix, your Disney Plus, your Amazon Prime are really interested in Japanese anime other than the popularity of it. If there was no popularity of it, they would be not touching it with a 10-foot pole. But right now, you're looking at yourself, and if you're looking at them three companies, you're looking at like Disney. Let's just sit there. Your Star Wars is going downhill. Your Marvel is definitely starting to go downhill. Everything else that's associated with you is up in the air and iffy. What do they have out there now they can reach and grab? The only thing they have now to grab is anime. That's their last hope. After this, after anime's gone, there's nothing Hollywood can say, oh, we're going to go here to do this. They have to go back to trying to create original content, which they don't have the ability to right now. I mean, think about it. Even as you were a kid, the movies that were coming out, I love the idea of Top Gun, but you had to reach back to an 80s movie to make a movie that's halfway decent in the 2020s. You know, they had to reach for it. They didn't come up with something new. Show me something today that was made in the in 2020s, or even give you the 2010s, that was legitimately created, came out, and was beautifully made.
Not much really comes to mind.
Other
than that, and other than Top Gun and Ghostbusters Afterlife, because it actually respected
but that's
what
also
came before.
A movie they had to reach back into the past to an old franchise to kickstart a movie to hopefully bring it back. The only movie I can see them that they legitimately created and came up with and it became a hit is Pirates of the Caribbean. That's it. That is it. And even now they have to reach back in for that to try to make a hit today. There is no original content. I love the Orville, but to me, that was Star Trek. That's Star Trek. You can call it whatever you want.
Yeah, it's basically Star Trek. It's basically Star Trek just done better.
The only thing that shows every day when it goes on and you have an episode of it is how stupid the people were in charge of Star Trek not to agree to take that on as Star Trek. And every day they got to be kicking themselves. Every day.
Yeah, and it really just shows how creative like Seth MacFarlane is. I mean, sure, the newest season, I know the comedy is a little more subdued, but it's still, we've already had like several great episodes. I know, sure, I think I kind of go with like Dave Cullen's episode about transhumanism, and he kind of does make up some good points about it, though, with that episode about the mortality paradox. Mm-hmm. But other than that, the Tale of Two Topas, it's done with a lot more grace, and again, it really brings up more consequences from like the first season. So those plot lines were never dropped, and I'm just glad that nobody forgot about those episodes.
There is, and I need to correct myself, a movie that was a blockbuster. To me, it was just Dancing with Wolves in Space, Avatar.
Yes.
You hear what the man said just recently. I don't know if these two films are going to be acceptable or not. One, why? Because guess what? The very first movie he made, Avatar, is literally ripped off Dancing with Wolves. So if he coming up with a second and third movie, he has to legitimately come up with a storyline. Do not be surprised if Avatar has the best graphics of all time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That's the only big note we can make about Avatar is that it is probably the most visually appealing film. And then this is also saying the same thing about, in terms of like computer animation, films like Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. That was a pretty darn revolutionary movie. I mean, the character they got in there, Aki, she was actually supposed to be the first virtual actress to ever be made. But I mean, again, movies moving forward probably could have used that. But now that we got stuff like deep faking, now we can basically just resurrect dead actors with that kind of technology, which again I think is probably disrespectful.
Just remember this: the reason why they will deep face dead actors, don't have to pay them.
Exactly, and that's why it's really
people are liking the idea of this deep fake because we can make old actors young. No, Disney only sees that as a way. Oh, Mark Hamill. I'm not wishing that something does happen to him, but he passes away. They can deep fake another actor, get another voice actor that do the voice acting, and they're going to keep on chucking. No big problem. The likeness is owned by Disney. You know,
yep, and they don't have
to pay Mark Hamill or his estate a dime.
Yeah, well, guess what? The thing is, I know this is the double-edged thing about fandom. Yeah, I know people want to pigeonhole at certain actors in certain roles. I know people do that with Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. They do it with William Shatner as Captain Kirk,
Sure.
and they did it with Leonard Nimoy as Spock. But the characters are bigger than the actor who played them. I know, sure, you use their likeness a little bit for even like the covers for some of the books. But again, the character itself is bigger than the actor who played them.
And they know it. And
Yeah.
they know it. I mean, let's be honest. Mark Hamill, between Return of the Jedi, not saying he didn't do any movies, he did a few, but between Return of the Jedi and his return to Star Wars and The Force Awakens, even though we got bamboozled and only had him in there for 2 seconds, there was nothing in between there for him. And then, yes, you can blame it. His popularity in Star Wars limited his roles. But you can also say that put him on the map. Technically, my man he can always sit back and collect a check that you, me, and Mike will be dying to have.
And he's still going to get residuals for his role as the Joker anytime they replay
Yep. I mean,
the episodes from Batman, the animated series.
At least he had the brain to go, okay, I am not going to be where I want to be as an actor after Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's why sometimes turning to voice acting is great.
Voice acting. Like I said, he done a lot of voice acting. So he was smart. A lot of these actors are not smart. Again, especially the women actors, you got a 4 or 5 year run, and then your cycle is done. Now, they hate to admit that.
Well,
they get upset if you forget about them, but in truth of the matter, that's the truth. The women actors, you got a 4 or 5 year run, or not just even actors, anything in entertainment when it pertains to a woman. It's 4 or 5 years. Very few do you get a Dolly Parton that spans the test of time. Like I said, Britney Spears is probably, a lot of you guys probably were your time. Very popular in the very beginning. After 2008, 2009, you know her, but where is she? What is she doing? She's nowhere.
Last I knew, she had a show on Vegas. That's the last thing I knew.
Madonna, I mean, after all this stuff that she says and does, she disappeared off the face of the earth. She comes out, reels her head here and there, but really, she's done. And mind you, remember how she acted when she was famous. She wanted to influence your kids, especially your daughters. But look what happened when she had kids. She didn't do the same thing with her kids that she wanted to do with your kids.
Of course not.
And that's the thing to remember. It's okay. Hollywood can do whatever they want for your kids, but their kids are not going to follow that road. And she was very protective and very conservative in the upbringing of her kids. Something she don't tell people. Oh, your kid wants to drink.
Kathy Skywalker brings up the fact that you still have Stevie Nicks around. She's still out there performing.
Yep, with her cane and everything.
It doesn't matter that she has a cane. She's still out there giving people a show.
And there's probably about 1,000 men that still want to try to get in bed with Stevie Nicks.
Yeah, but I know also, I think another good thing that is mentioned about actors, but you can say, I'm going to show this actress. You know her from The Expanse. It's almost hard to pronounce her name, but she's the Iranian actress who plays the ambassador in The Expanse. She has done both live action and voice roles for films.
I know who you're talking about. Because she last time I saw her in anything other than The Expanse was in Star Trek Beyond. She was an admiral.
Yeah, and she also voiced like Shalaran Bastambe in Mass Effect, one of the Quarians. And basically like the aunt of Tali. And I mean, just because of her Iranian heritage, she's got such a unique voice. And even then, I mean, I would say a character in one of the stories who's like a scientist, I think she would have been perfect to be this character, or at least if it was gonna be like some sort of like CGI, kind of like what they do with Until Dawn in a way. She could easily provide the voice for this character because her voice just sounds so analytical. And the same thing you could say about actor Lance Riddick, who we also know who's played in Fringe and also has more famously in more recent media has played the character of Silence from Horizon Zero Dawn. So again, there are actors out there that do such a great performance, and they have done both live action and video game and voice roles.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
you
that's
hear
another thing.
from some
Voice-
actors who are voice actors saying, I enjoy this job. I don't have to get fancied up. I can just come to the recording studio, record my lines for a few hours, and get paid for doing so.
Exactly, and that's the whole.
They
And that's
do a
kind
lot of that in the. Let's be honest, your video games now are really there's action in your game, but your
yes, and
cutscenes
now
are
you have like
movie.
motion. Now you have motion capture. Like they did all that stuff with Horizon Zero Dawn. I think like now the character of Aloy now looks a little closer to the original voice actress Ashley Burch. And I mean, it's pretty sure I know she's done skits, so she's done so it shows that she can do live action roles too.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I missed when you were doing the Tim Allen thing, that Buzz Lightyear.
And I'll get to that story. Don't worry. I'll get to that story.
You get. Oh, I thought I missed it. Thank God.
No.
I'll bring up.
I do want to say something real quick. Anytime you see the 4 stories listed on the thumbnail, those 4 stories will get to those stories no matter what.
Oh, I didn't know if you already had done the story on that yet.
Nope. I'm only getting to one of the first 4 on the thumbnail now. So, but anyways, in case you guys still had anything else you wanted to add or say before we talk about Trigun's creator, talking about Trigun Stampede.
Yeah, move on, my friend. I said all I could say. I'll add more when the Tim Allen part.
Okay. So this article comes from comicbook.com, and I know how we all feel about it, but it's where I saw the story, and I don't discriminate where I get my stories from. Except for We've Got This Covered. I pretty much don't ever take a story from them. Unless I want to poke fun at it. So this story was posted on July 4th. It's by Nick Valdez, and it says Trigun creator hypes new Trigun Stampede anime. Goes on to say Trigun is finally coming back with a new anime series after over 2 decades, and the original creator behind the series is sharing their hype for the upcoming Trigun Stampede. With the original anime series and feature film bringing the manga to life in their own way, there has been a lot of mystery as to what to expect from this fully CGI animated take on the franchise from Studio Orange, the production studio behind Baystar's Land of the Lustrous, Lustrous, and more. But fans in attendance during Anime Expo over the holiday weekend got some crucial new details about its development process. Taking the stage during the convention to share the first concrete look at Trigun Stampede as it gears up for its release next year, original series creator Yoshiro Nutgao via press release hyped up the release of the new anime even more as the creator teases that this will be a completely new take on the classic story that's very much still in line with the heart of the original. In fact, according to the creator, the series isn't coming back, but instead coming in our immediate future. Trigun Stampede. Trigun is coming, not coming back. It's coming Natal began. The typhoon that started 25 years ago never disappeared. Biding its time as a calm wind, it met with a young singularity and became a whirlwind. After an enormous amount of analysis, restructuring, renovation, amplification, it has grown into a tornado with coiled up energy that's off the chart. Natal then continued to hype up how much has changed from the original, but also remained the same at its core due to the work of the staff. Finally, the time has come. Finally, I can slam this beast on you. Nighthouse continued. You will witness vividly new yet unmistakably recognizable Trigun. Trigun will always be Trigun, no matter how much you rework on it. Perhaps it's because the staff understands and protects what's at the core of this work. I'm proud of this tenacious work, if I do say so myself. Are you ready? Hang on tight, friends. Brace yourselves for Stampede. We'll see how this all shakes out as Trigon Stampede is currently on track for release sometime next year and will be streaming on Crunchyroll when it launches. How are you feeling about this new take on Trigon so far? What are you hoping to see go down in Trigon Stampede? Let us know all your thoughts about it in the comments. And of course, if anybody hasn't watched the Trigon movie or watched the Trigon series and followed Bosch on his adventures, well, you're missing out. I mean, heck, I'm even refreshing my memory on the series considering I only watched it early last year and I was asked by Brandon, the anime guy. Hello, Brandon. Yes, I'm shouting you out. If I've even watched the series, and I said it's been a while, so I need to refresh my memory on the whole thing. But what do you guys think with the original creator hyping up the series and saying that you will still recognize it as Trigun?
I actually have never really heard of this show or this anime. I haven't. Again, I'm kind of like with Phil. I'm kind of like with you a little bit though, because there's not many animes I've actually really watched.
What do you think, Phil? You know, the creators saying you'll recognize this new series as it should be, pretty much.
I'm gonna play. I'm gonna wait and see, watch it, and then judge it because they say too many times now they get your hopes up. Oh, this is going to be how it's supposed to be, or this is going to be as it was intended to be. If it's coming from Japan and I'm getting a closed caption, I'll believe it. But once it's over here and it's being made here, I'm hesitant. I don't trust them. So I've been burned too many times. I don't like to get burned anymore. So I'll wait and see. And if it turns out to be totally opposite from what I've watched and what I know about series anime, I'll cut them off. Done. Move on. You know. I'm sorry. That's just how American anime is nowadays. If they get a hold of something, it's changed. And when I mean to change, I'm not talking about a snippet here, a snippet there. It kind of goes and gets butchered, chopped up, and then scotch tape back together. And yeah, I stick to my old anime because I can trust it. Like I said, you know me, Star Blazers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and don't get me wrong, there's been changes over the last since it came out in '74, and here it is almost 2022. There've been changes in there, and changes is good. You have to modernize it and everything, but the core of it is still the same, and the message is still the same. The thing about the message is where we get the confusion part. They're not promoting a message for what's going on in 2022. They're promoting an overall message. And that was back in 74. Now, today, I can almost guarantee it they get a hold of any of these anime things. And like I said, anime is a new gold mine for all these industries since they already plucked everything out of the comic books. Your Marvel and your DC. Well, DC's been in the movies and stuff for years, but you know what I mean. They plucked, let's put it this way. We're at a point and they know it. You can't keep reaching into the comic books to try to get a movie content. It's just not going to happen anymore. First of all, it's not that there isn't material. It's because people are getting burned out. Can we say right now we don't need another comic book movie in 2022?
We don't.
Yes.
We don't. Anime is where their next gold mine is. And I don't want them to do to anime what they already done to the comic books. And like I said, look at the comic book industry. Once you start messing with the movies, they go back and they start messing with the comic books, and there's the downfall. The reason comic book industry got destroyed is because they went woke.
Yep. Snowflake and safe space. Ring a bell.
That's all you have to say. And if you ask why, look, Disney doesn't care if it runs the comic book industry into the ground and they go bankrupt. Disney will move on. And I hate to say this, 10, 15 years from now, or even 20 years from now, it's not a big deal for Disney to say, we're jettisoning Marvel. Marvel ain't going to survive. There was a period in time in the late 90s and even early 2000s, we thought the comic book movies were coming to an end because it was played out.
Yeah, exactly. You think that, Batman and Robin is probably what killed the modern comic book movies. But ironically enough, the movie that came out just a year later pretty much revitalized it, or at least people wanted to take comic book films more seriously with Blade in '98.
Blade, that's true. Yep. The Blade series. But for me, what I thought saved the comic book industry as a whole, movies, TV, comic books, was the Spider-Man, the 3 Spider-Man movies that came out.
Yes.
You know, Batman always is going to pop in there. Batman's one of them comic book heroes you never have to worry about.
Yeah, exactly.
Spider-Man for Marvel is the other one. But as far as everything else, I question. I mean, yeah, there's fan favorite with Wolverine. But I can tell you this right now. If it isn't Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, no one's going to go see it.
Yeah, but I know pretty much he's done with this character.
I agree. He's done. But I don't see a point in going into Wolverine. 20 years from now, you might be able to do it. But anything sooner, don't touch the X-Men. Leave it go for a while. Let it rest. Move on to something else. And like I said,
same thing goes with the Fantastic Four. I mean, we already know Josh Trank's Fan Four Stick movie tanked something fierce, but I mean, at least the ones that were done by Tim Story back in 2004 and 2007, that movie was in Rise of the Silver Surfer. At least those were more closer to what they were in the comic books.
I agree with you. That third one, that one that came out after they tried to remake.
One that was done by Josh Trank. Yeah.
That forget about that. Forget that ever existed.
I automatically just denounced that movie.
And that's another thing. Remember this. How many, even though Marvel was not under one roof, it still isn't, because Spider-Man is not owned by Disney.
At least as far as the movie rights are concerned.
Yes.
Movie rights, they have to share the rights with Sony. And
Sony was smart when they had the fire sale, when Marvel couldn't do anything anymore and they really needed to be bought. They sold it piecemeal. And Sony could have bought all Marvel. They didn't want it. They only wanted Spider-Man and a few of the characters in the Spider-Man universe. The rest of Marvel, Iron Man, Captain America, let me tell you something. In the 70s, they tried to make TV shows for these characters. They flopped hard. The only one that managed to make anything was the Incredible Hulk, and that was it. Thor didn't make a TV show. They did attempted, but it flopped. Captain America flopped. It just was a bad idea. Marvel was not capable of making good things in the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, I mean, other than like the few like cartoon shows, like
Yep.
the Spider-Man, like the Spider-Man of
Spider-Man and his
67.
Amazing Friends.
Yep, exactly, and even the '90s Spider-Man cartoon, which again is also well done. But again,
I think the fluke was Iron Man. I don't think if Iron Man became a hit, you wouldn't have had Disney coming in there, swooping in, want to buy it, and you wouldn't have had everything leading up to Endgame.
yeah, I
And
mean,
correct me if I'm wrong. You guys can correct me. Anyone in the chat can correct me. But Iron Man as a comic wasn't a major success.
It was okay. If you want to talk Marvel, you talk Spider-Man, the X-Men, maybe for older generation Fantastic Four, not for anybody that was born in the 90s up, not more Fantastic Four. I'm not saying they don't know it. It's just their characters are unrelatable. They can't relate to them old style characters. Same thing for DC right now. You can relate to Batman, maybe Wonder Woman, but Flash, Aquaman, and Superman, they're starting to get you can't get that 1940 feel out of them. You see what I'm saying? Or even try to modernize it because they still have that 1940 feel.
yeah,
That's the problem with Marvel's characters. Not that they aren't great. They just their time from when they were created was
it was the
40s,
60s.
50s. Yeah. So you're not going to get something relatable. See, like I said, Batman, yes, you can bring it to a modern age. Wonder Woman, to a degree, yes, you can bring her to a modern age. Superman, a little bit, yes, but Superman isn't that big anymore like he used to be. I mean, in the 70s and 80s, Superman was top 10 comic. Now,
Well, not only that, during the time it was a top 10 comic, you also had the Superman movie with Christopher
there
Reeve.
you go.
That helped it.
But then when it stopped, and you notice that stopped there, the only thing that was coming from DC, and legitimately they knew to take a break. The only thing really coming out was Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Marvel stepped in. They did a little revamp. They got their Marvel universe. Okay, these are 60s style characters. We're in the 90s. We need to bring them to a modern age. So the X-Men became a big thing. And kudos to Fox. Spider-Man came back. Kudos
Spider-Man and X-Men the animated series revitalized those characters. I mean, even this story here, they're going to be putting Spider-Man into this crossover between Ultraman and Marvel. I'm not going to read the whole article, but
well, see, to me, it seems like Marvel Comics is testing the waters. They're not making a comic for a comic's sake. Their comics are testing the waters to see, will this work? And if this works, this might be a potential movie.
Oh, boy.
And that's how I see it. Like I said, Marvel needs to take a break, maybe focus on the comic book for 10 years, and then revisit the Marvel universe again. Not doing it the way they're doing now. I can say this, 90% of Marvel fans, like the last series of movies, they're tired. They would be happy if Endgame was the last one and they took a break.
I pretty much consider Endgame the last one. I mean, really, the Spider-Man No Way Home was basically the epilogue, or basically the last two Spider-Man Homecoming movies were basically just the epilogues to a lot of these stories.
No. I mean, even Fox thought there for a while, well, we're going to do origins. and that flopped after Wolverine. And if Wolverine's movie standalone Origins wasn't going to make it, then Rogue, a standalone movie, wouldn't have made it. Storm wouldn't have made it. So it was a good thing they realized that and never ventured further.
And then we got the reboot, and we got the reboot with First Class.
Yeah. And I think that was a knee-jerk reaction. I think that was a knee-jerk reaction because they saw that Disney's Marvel were picking up, so they felt a need to start picking it up.
Yeah, and that of course led to the butchering of the character Apocalypse, and also the second butchering of the Phoenix Saga.
Yeah, and like I said, the good news is you can consider it good news. Disney owns most of what was now Marvel, and what's not owned by Disney is owned by Sony. And trust me when I say this, Disney does not like the idea that they have to constantly reach to Sony to make a deal. Sony's loving it because guess what? They kick back. They make the movie. They're getting paid. They're getting paid for what it's worth.
And Kathy brings up the best point you can bring up. It's oversaturation.
Exactly.
I mean, even like I said, you look at the news today and you just see it. I mean, I don't have any problem with any new Avatar movies, but when the man producing, directing, and controlling it comes out and says, I'm not sure how these two movies are going to be taken, well, that goes to show he didn't have a real script with the first one. He borrowed from Dancing with Wolves. I'm guessing the next two movies, I'm not saying he's a bad director or even creator, but if his movies is going to be based on some other book, let's just say, to sake of argument, the second one's based on Custer, when they just make it Custer in space with the blue people and everything, you're going to pick up on it. You're going to notice it, and you're going to be like, wow. I mean, seriously, watch Dancing with Wolves and then watch Avatar afterwards, and you're going to say the same thing I said. This is nothing but a remake with a reimagined idea. It's Dancing with Wolves in space.
Yeah, but Phil, if I go to watch Avatar again, I'll just do what I did every other time I tried to watch it, fall asleep.
Well, the good thing is, in this day and age, you can pause it, fall asleep, and then you can wake up to it and watch it again where you left off.
No, here's how it's gonna go, because it's gone the same way each and every time I've tried. The movie's gonna still play. I'm gonna fall sound asleep and wake up and go, "Oh, good, it's over."
But look at him, James Cameron, even with Terminator. How many damn Terminators we got? Do we need another new Terminator movie? God, no.
No, I mean,
no.
I know.
Of course we do. We need to have a Terminator movie where kids are going around blowing away Terminators.
Oh boy, but no. I'm telling you this though.
I'm kidding.
I know. But the thing is, look, the only type of Terminator movie we would have seen, but hell, I mean, Salvation actually tried. At least they tried to set it during the. They actually tried to set it during the.
I did like Salvation. I just thought it was victimized. If had that been the third Terminator movie, I think it would have been acceptable and people.
Yes, and it would have at least somewhat tied it. But I think, damn, the Terminator Resistance game, I think it somewhat does a little bit better because it actually feels more close and more closely aligned with the first two films.
It does. That third movie, the third Terminator, it was a good attempt, but no. Yeah. And then everything that came after it, it was like, who's in charge of this thing? James Cameron was supposed to be in charge, but he was busy doing other projects.
And he's reportedly not even going to be directing Avatar 4 and 5.
I
Oh,
hope it's. Oh
we got
God! Please tell me
multiple
they're not a
sequels.
4 and 5. I thought this was going to be 2 and 3 and done.
Sure. Nope, they're gonna. It's Disney. It's Disney. They're gonna milk it until it's officially dead and done. Then they're still gonna try to milk it some more, even though it's dry.
There was a time Disney was a model. Forget about just the live action, just the anime. They were known for creativity, bringing something out unique and new. Where is that? Where's that Disney gone? Where is that Disney? I don't
You can
have what.
criticize Michael Eisner all you want, but
Mhm.
at least under him, they were still creative.
I bust on them hard for the Tron series, even the first one and the second one. But I give them credit for Tron 1. It was unique, new, and different. I will give them that. At least they were creative in it. For creativity's sake, I give it to them. I wouldn't have never ventured to Tron 2. I know a lot of people are what you would call fans of the series and everything. I never would like Tron 1 to begin with. Tron 2 was okay, but as like I said, creativity wise, the idea wise, something new, all for it. But for me, Tron was just never the type of series of movies. Disney should always stay out of sci-fi. I'm sorry. Return to Space Mountain, this mountain. I grew up in the 70s, 80s. Disney was flopping like a dead fish out of water. And
Yep,
live
and
action, not their
even
anime, not
even
their.
Kathy brings up, there's too many Fast and the Furious movies. There are, but Kathy, I think we're all missing the point about Fast and the Furious. It's all about family. I'm sorry, I'm done with those movies, but there is somebody who has made a lot of good money from Disney, whether it be Touchstone Television or voicing Buzz Lightyear or anything else he's done associated with Disney, the Santa Claus. But Tim Allen has come out and he criticizes Disney's Lightyear for not connecting with its audience.
I know
And
I was waiting for this, but I will before you go into it. Tim Allen not being the voice of Buzz Lightyear is a mistake on the highest level. And it has nothing to do with his voice acting abilities. It has nothing to do with what he says, and he's doing a little covering, not much. That some of the people that he did his Buzz Lightyear weren't going to be there. I'm sorry. Tim Allen, now, this ain't the same Tim Allen 30, 40 years ago. Not that he's changed, but his views. Let's
he
say
has
that
his own views.
he has his own views. I
Disney
would say,
ABC
but
canceled his show Last Man Standing. It was
that was a
Fox that
mistake
picked it
too.
up.
That was a mistake. But here's the thing. His views of where he stands 30, 40 years ago, you and me would say he is a person in the center. But his views that he still has, and some of it's changed, not all of it, has now, due to people's and their views changing, has pushed him center right. So that's where he falls victim. And that's how Disney sees it. And Disney isn't going to put a conservative, the Kevin Sorbo's, the Tim Allens, or the Gina Carano's, because it's going against their narrative. And I think he did it politely and with integrity. Pretty much that's the reason why he wasn't Buzz Lightyear.
Well, let's go ahead and read this article and see what he has to say about his take on Lightyear. It says Lightyear is currently on pace to be a massive box office failure for Disney and Pixar this year. Going into its third week at the box office, the film has yet to recoup its $200 million production budget, making it poised to lose well over $100 million for the company. Yet, another thing that Disney keeps doing is they keep raising prices at their theme parks. They keep making it out of reach for middle class families and families that might have to save up for years just to go once.
You can't afford that $5,000 drink.
I, I got better things to spend $5,000 on than to get a little shot glass.
That you don't know what it is, and it's shot off. Probably be like a liquor that's probably $10 in the regular store.
Probably. The article goes on to say Tim Allen, who was replaced as the voice of Buzz Lightyear by MCU actor Chris Evans, has finally shared his thoughts of the film and why he did not return to voice the character in the first place. During an interview with Extra, Allen said the Toy Story prequel film is completely different from the original films that he voiced. The short answer is I've stayed out of this because it has nothing to do with my character, he said. We talked about this many years ago, but the brass that did the first four movies is not this. This is a whole new team that really had nothing to do with the first movies. Allen continued. He would go on to explain how, despite being a Lightyear solo film, there wasn't any audience connection to the character in his own movie. And I'm sorry, that's a flaw. That's a flaw. If you're going to be doing a solo movie, even if the character has some differences from the Toy Story character, you still have to connect some of the same dots for people who have grown to love the character for the last 25 years will want to go see your movie. And I'm just speaking as a casual movie going fan who pays his hard earned dollars to go see a movie. Goes on to say there's really no Toy Story buzz without Woody. It just doesn't seem to have any connection to the toy. It has no relationship to Buzz. It's just no connection. I wish there was a better connection, Alan commented at one point. He thought that the film was going to be a live action movie, but plans changed in development. Disney made a series of mistakes that led to a majority of its family friendly audience staying away from movie theaters to see the film. Activists surrounding the movie's release focused the majority of their marketing on the same sex lesbian kiss scene in a kids' movie that led to online backlash and the film being banned in multiple countries, including Saudi Arabia and China. Lightyear director Angus McLean confirmed that the character in question wasn't even intended to be in the film in early development. McLean revealed the character of Buzz Lightyear was supposed to be paired with a fellow female space ranger whom he was going to share a romantic relationship with. However, McLean opted to go the route of LGBTQ representation after deciding that Lightyear wouldn't work with a romantic lead.
And
Radical
they
left
wonder
wing
why that flopped. And they wonder why that flopped.
Mhm.
And then
Exactly the point. Yeah, because you think, you want to release you want to release that kind of stuff. You want to preach down to us that stuff is like it's never been done before and stuff like that in movies. And yet you want to try to sell it, but yet you'll gladly edit stuff for foreign markets just to not. That's not because you don't want to lose out money on that. You don't want to lose money out. Well, hey, guess what? Disney in the Middle East, they stone people for that kind of stuff. People are stoned for that in the Middle East. And of
they'll
course,
never accept that type in their culture. And
exactly.
unfortunately, that's the way it is there. I'm from the thought, why do you want to try to force it? Forget about just us. Why are you going to make a movie to try to force it down their throats?
Because
They're
they want
gonna
to politicize everything.
And that's the thing. If you want to politicize something, don't take a children's movie and try to make a political stance with it. You're trying to entertain children. And children, I'm sorry, if they're under the age of 12, there shouldn't be any type of graphical content
Exactly.
One way or the other. Make a movie. You know what? If you want to call it traditional values, fine. Keep it traditional. After, a kid is 12 or 13 years old, they're mature enough, they can make decisions with their parents if they want to. Technically, that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And then they can go to an adult style anime. There's plenty of them.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing goes. Like, PG-13.
I could tell you this right now. JetSpark and Mike, if you had a 10-year-old daughter or son, you don't want your 10-year-old daughter and son to be seeing that. You want to be in the position, I'm going to be the one to explain to my kid when I think the time is right.
Exactly. But of course, no.
Disney is not a parent.
Nor is anything, and neither is the damn government. They are not the parent.
No.
I am the person who brought this child into the world.
There you
not
go.
You. And you don't tell him. You don't tell them what's right and what's wrong. I, as the person who brought them into the world, have to tell them that.
Radical left employees of Disney should not have a say on what's going on in the movies. The radical left Disney employees should be focusing on what their job is to do at the parks, at the movies. That's their job. If your job is to get my ticket and tear the ticket, that's your job. That's what you should be concerned about. Not do I care if you have a little patch on your shoulder saying you're a member of the alphabet community. I can care
exactly. But here's the thing, though. But these people don't care, and even anyway, some of these people they try to make if they have kids, they're probably woke as hell, and they probably just make them think, because they just like certain things that are not traditional. They just automatically assume their child is a different gender because of that, or if they again, either that or they don't have kids altogether.
It's more the latter, because even a recent survey came out that there are a lot of singles going to the parks.
Yeah, the Disney adults.
I want to highlight this paragraph right here, even though I accidentally highlighted the other paragraph. It says Chris Evans then proceeded to call anyone who had a problem with the same-sex kiss is an idiot who will die off like the dinosaurs, indirectly slamming every Muslim in the Middle East. So you're going to attack another culture, another country for their beliefs. Really?
Here's the thing. He's brave enough to say that here. But if I gave him a plane ticket and tell him to go to Saudi Arabia and spill with that line out of his mouth, how long do you think he's going to survive?
Not long.
It's like this. I'm not going to go to a Muslim person and say, would you like to have pork for dinner? First of all, I'm not an idiot and not a fool. Their religion, they don't eat pork. And I respect that. To try to tell them or to preach to them that they should eat pork, no. Respect the differences. Respect it. And if their belief is they only acknowledge a traditional family, man and woman, children, then that's their God-given right. You don't have a right to go over there and force this belief. If you want to believe that, that's fine.
But that's all. But here's also the thing, though. They want to slam people who may be Christian, and saying that you're doing the exact same thing. You're doing the same thing that you probably condemn Christians for. Christians for. It's ridiculous, that fact that, again, I don't like the idea. I am always the person that wants to strive for people being more in the center and being more balanced about this stuff. But nowadays, it's really like you're either on one side or the other. If you're with one side, you're already essentially the enemy.
I blame the woke society and community. You won't call them left? Okay, let's call them left.
I was still calling them woke. Just the woke.
Well, the woke. Let's just say they're not destroying IPs that were woke to begin with. They're taking conservative and right, or people that should never, or like Buzz Lightyear. Toy Story should never be in that area.
Yeah,
or
it's
even
just
in that market, but they're willing to destroy it. And that's what Disney don't understand. You destroy some of these things, they're not coming back. The fans are not going to come back.
yeah,
They're
and they've already
eventually going to
and they've
find something
constantly
else.
and they constantly keep burning this bridge with Star Wars and Marvel. Yeah, you don't like our stuff, get lost. You're not wanted here. But even then, they still even hate us when we try to go back and try to create our own stuff. Yeah, they say it's all it's all bad stuff, but it's like, seriously, it's like you can't win with these people. You can't win. It's like we basically have almost nothing left to really call our own.
The thing
Uh,
is, you
and let me
can't
ask you guys
negotiate with them.
this.
You can't negotiate.
Uh,
You can't even
I was going
compromise.
to say, does it get to a point where you don't even communicate with them? You just move on, go your own direction, and let them waddle in their own mess.
Oh, I pretty much already do that. But sometimes again, these people are so stuck in the ideology with it. I mean, heck, even like, I know this kind of like veers a little bit, but like how like modern, like, modern like relationship culture is nowadays. I'm still I'm looking for, an actual real relationship. Most people just want to go and just like hook up. And some of them are more worried about I know some people get mad about the idea that, oh, they can't find anybody. But the thing is, since you're indulging in this kind of stuff, you're looking for short-term happiness and you're going to end up with long-term depression over time. But
Mhm.
they don't really care about it. They're only looking at everything from the short term. And of
Let
course,
me
and we already know another side of this.
let
The
me
people,
say something just for this, and Kathy, do not take this the wrong way. In any time, in any place, in the history of the world, if the Chinese were first to come over here to quote unquote settle in the New World, the Indians would have been forced to, same things would have happened. They would have been forced to either accept Hinduism, Taoism, or Confucianism. It doesn't matter when a country or a nation or a people is what you would call the power of the day, and if they conquer, their will's the one that gets put in place. That's normally the way it works. I mean, if the Indians would have done it, they would force everybody to, what would they call their great spirit? They would have forced the Europeans and the Chinese and whoever they conquered to force the great spirit upon you, right? It doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't. You have to learn that at at times all through humanity, that's always been the way it's been. Some form of what the native culture is survives and adapts.
yeah,
And sometimes the conqueror is the one that ends up in the end to be adapt. Look at the Mongols. They adopt
exactly.
Chinese ways. They became more Chinese in the end than they were with their native Mongolians.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
happens. It happened on every continent. In Africa, they went through the same thing. The conqueror always, oh, this is the way it's going to be now. That's the way it works. If some alien life form comes to our world, we will be the Indians and they would be the Europeans.
Yeah, exactly. Even like Stephen Hawking himself even said this.
Yep. The thing is, will these aliens 9 times out of 10 they're going to be the same way. Conquering is what is in nature. In the ocean, the killer whale, it's a killer whale. It kills. That's what they do.
Yep. Just like even when you saw Black Panther, it's like it'll be the conquered versus the conquerors.
Yep.
And of course, the Wakandans with all their technology, they could have easily conquered the entire planet.
True. True. I mean, but like I said, it's everywhere and it's every history. And there's always the one that's to get conquered, and it's a cycle. Think of it like even in sports. Today's great sports team, tomorrow, they might not win a championship for the next 30 years. How many New England lost Tom Brady 2 years ago? How many championships they won? Once you don't become a conqueror anymore, you're now back of the pack. Someone always steps forward to lead the pack. United States, the last 100 years, we're a superpower.
No, I would say we've only become a superpower in the last 70 years.
You'll
After
give,
after World War II, we
after World War
truly
II, yeah, I'll give it. But again, how long will it last? Well, some countries it might last 100 years. It might last 1,000, or time for being, if you want to say, the top superpower, it might end tomorrow.
exactly, and that
That's
whole
how it
sort of
works.
thing about Lucivity's trap. That's the one thing people are, and we're seeing it right now across the Pacific. We're seeing it, and even then, I mean, what we're seeing right now in Europe, we already know it's just more like trying to be more of a Hail Mary play, more or less.
Agreed.
Yep.
That's the thing I say, Kathy. If an alien species wants to come to this planet, 9 times out of 10, they're going to turn back and go away. Unless it's them aliens that love to do strange things to our cattle or kidnap people, and what do they like doing? Anal probing.
Okay, yeah. It's like, again, I know they made that joke in Men in Black too, but come
Yeah,
on,
you know where I
aliens.
got it from.
Like, I'd say the best sort of thing about how you best depict alien invasion was probably the original V show. Yeah, they actually said, "Oh yeah, we want chemicals, but really we're just here for water, and you humans is our food source."
And that's more likely what would happen. Our water and humans they would see us as cattle.
Yeah, exactly. They would see us as a food source, but I mean, all the other times, I mean, going by actual real science, like if there's something on our planet they want, like I think there was a Nat Geo documentary where the aliens were just simply just highly advanced war probes they sent to our planet, but they were capturing just plants and animals, and they were just harvesting life itself, probably to power their technology. Because most likely that would probably be another interesting thing. Like if there's something that they can use to power our technology, I mean, if they need our water, they could just get it from any of, like, they can get it from Enceladus or Europa or any comets orbiting our solar system. And if they want any any rare earth objects, they can find them, they're readily available in any asteroid.
True. I mean, anything in our little solar system, what's on Earth, is practically on the other 8 or 9 planets, how you want to see it, asteroids and comets. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wealth of resources. I mean, if the aliens want our planet, I mean, the only other reason why the aliens would want our planet is that, yeah, they want to just wipe us out and just colonize the earth and just colonize the earth itself and call it their new home, or new, like, say, new Tenzetta or something.
I want to think of it like the movie Paul with that alien in there. I love that alien movie, Mike. Paul.
You know, we should probably Paul from Phantomology to watch Paul.
Oh, that would be perfect.
What do you say?
That would be perfect, especially when he does a little movement with his finger that's anal probing, guys. And that movie was so hilarious.
Yeah. So moving on here, I've got this story from Geek Tyrant that says Winston Zeddemore figures strongly into the Ghostbusters sequels. And this was posted just a day ago. It's by Joey Parr. And it says, I love Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I'm excited to see what the sequel being developed under the working title Firehouse brings us. The next chapter of the story will go back to New York City, and the original iconic headquarters of the Ghostbusters is going to be one of the main settings. Director Jason Reitman has revealed a bit of new information about the sequel and the future of the franchise, saying that Ernie Hudson's Winston Zeddemore is going to play a big role in the franchise from here on out. In a recent interview with The Hollywood Reporter, the filmmaker said the character of Winston Zeddemore and Zeddemore Industries figures strongly into the future of Ghostbusters. That's great to hear.
And that's excellent, because I'm glad that even when we saw in Ghostbusters Afterlife, Winston took everything when we started out working for the Ghostbusters, and now he basically did, and it became a multi-million-dollar enterprise, and it's just amazing that he came so far, and it's only because, and that's the whole thing that these woke people do not understand. He got to where he was because he had the tools and he had the talent, not because of the color of his skin.
Yep.
And again, once again, this is coming from the advice of someone who has darker skin. So there you go.
Didn't notice.
Mic dropped.
It's all good. I love Winston.
Exactly.
Even in the very beginning, Winston was one of my favorite too. Him and Egon. That's who I like.
Yeah, Egon I liked more because again, I just love how wonderfully dry he was.
Winston was the guy that brought everything back to sanity and reality. He was the one, okay, I'm not a scientist like you guys. This is a job for me. But I'm going to put my take, the layman's or the common man's,
Yeah, he was the everyman of the group.
There you go. Mike, I don't notice if you notice.
I know, but like I said, if I have 4 stories on the thumbnail, I want to get through those 4 stories. No matter what.
I just help you out, letting you know.
I know.
Young people tend to forget, so I try to remind them.
No, not. I just consider this going into extra innings. So the author says that's great to hear. I have no idea if we'll see any of the original Ghostbusters characters. And Nerportal asked me a question earlier if I thought we'd see Murray, Aykroyd, or Sigourney Weaver. And of those 3, I said in the chat that we'd probably see Aykroyd or Weaver, but we wouldn't see Bill Murray.
I don't think Weaver, the only reason it would hold Weaver back, she's still getting a lot of roles.
Yes.
So I wouldn't all for her. Believe me, I would say Aykroyd and Weaver, no.
Yeah, Bill Murray again. Maybe. We already know he's been he's had a sort of love-hate relationship with the Ghostbuster franchise, and again, he's known for only saying he's interested in doing it, and not really. People are unsure if he's gonna even show up or not until he shows up on set the very day of shooting.
Another thing is we also have to recognize, again, things have to come to an end, and I understand it. Weaver, Aykroyd, and Murray, they're old. They're getting to a point where, some actors don't want to keep doing roles. They might do 1 role or 2 roles here and there.
Yeah, or even or keep playing the same character over and over again.
So I think if they let the last Ghostbusters as their last hoopla, I'll be happy with that.
I thought we already got that with Afterlife already.
Yeah, I thought Afterlife is a knife. Let it go. Now, if this actor that plays I forgot his name,
Ernie Hudson.
Thank you. If he wants to keep going as maybe, hey, I'm going to help you along, give you my older experience and wisdom in Ghostbusters, I'll be all for it. He'd be like the. Do you remember, in Charlie's Angels, you had the dude in the little speak box?
Yeah, the Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. Well, he can play the
Good morning,
Charlie
Angels.
Role. Yep. He can play the Charlie role, but he doesn't have to be absent. He can be at the station. He's the one that says, okay, I need you guys. We got a call. You guys got to go the 500 block of Washington Avenue. That type of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
And he could also be giving, the kids further training on how to use the proton packs and other equipment.
Yep, exactly. And that's another thing. And we already know Trevor has good mechanic skills, so he can obviously fix up that. And of course, Phoebe already knows a lot about technical stuff. So there you go. She can repair the proton packs.
Yep.
But even then,
there's a spot for an actor like him that would say, yes, I would like to keep going. where Aykroyd and Murray and well, I won't say Weaver will say no. I just don't think she has the time. But the other two, let's be honest, they're pretty much almost done with acting. They'll do a cameo, but they're not going to do any. They ain't going to do no movies anytime soon. So
Nope. So I have another article here from Geek Tyrant, and it's by Jessica Fisher, and it was posted a day ago. And it says George Lucas talked about why the Indiana Jones movies have staying power in Hollywood. So it starts off by saying Indiana Jones is one of the most beloved film franchises of all time. The films are fun, adventurous, exciting, and thanks to the great John Williams, have one of the great musical scores in film history. One co creator of Indiana Jones stories is Star Wars creator George Lucas, and over a decade ago, just ahead of the release of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I'm sorry, it doesn't exist, never happened. There is not a fourth Indiana Jones movie, it's only three. And, anyways, he says that Lucas sat down with Vanity Fair to reveal why he believed the Indiana Jones films had such a following and staying power for film fans. He started out by talking about the realism of the characters' injuries and the stunt work in the films. He also had to say it's one of the few times when the hero gets beat up, and he also looked like he got beat up. And he actually continues through the movie looking beat up. He didn't suddenly the next day come out, "Oh yeah, my broken neck, my broken nose. That's all fixed now. Nothing like a good night's sleep." One of the reasons we do a lot of stunt work is somebody did do it and somebody did survive it. He went on to talk about the mythology behind each story. We just had to make a good story and tell it well. And yes, it's an action movie, but it's important for us that there's a real supernatural mystery going on. Only Indiana Jones films are supernatural mystery movies. There are always going to be after some supernatural object. It's not a pretend object. It's not something that we made up. It's something that actually exists or people believe exists. Whether it does or not is in dispute. But for every person who says, I don't believe that, there's another person who says, well, I believe it. I heard about it. I saw it. And there's stories. Even with The Lost Ark, when we did it, there were always people saying people are going to think it's Noah's Ark. People don't know what that is, but there's information that comes up around it. He added that the same type of grounded story with one pushed element was also the basis for the story in Jaws. Goes on to say it was the same thing with Steven Spielberg. With Jaws, they said, let's make it a 30-foot shark. He said, there's no such thing as a 30-foot shark. They have caught a 21-foot shark. We'll make it a 24-foot shark. That's where the difference is. We try to keep it within the realm of reality, but stretch it just a bit to make it more interesting and have more fun with it. And also, it's based on some kind of real mythology that exists that people actually believe in. Shanakar Stones was a bit of a reach, laughs, but in Asia, it's not as many people believe that the Shankara Stones as believe in the Holy Grail. That's just Western Eastern audience, but it's the same thing with the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail has mythical connotations, has been ascribed with several powers, but nothing very specific. So we had a time when we were going to do it and we rejected it, and we thought we better added to some sort of healing property to give it something to grab onto, which had been alluded to in the history of the Holy Grail. So, although the films have supernatural elements, the basis of realness in the stories and characters are a big element in the reason why they have succeeded and remained staples in the libraries of movie fans for generations. While Kingdom of the Crystal Skull didn't go over well as the first three, I think fans are hopeful that the next Indie adventure, I was about to say Indiana Jones adventure, which is most likely Harrison Ford's last, will be as good and fun as the originals. I'm sorry, folks, for that last line. I'm not looking forward to Indiana Jones
No.
5. There are 3 Indiana Jones movies, starting with
I mean,
Raiders
yeah, look,
and
I
ending
think
with The
like
Last Crusade.
I mean, look, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull literally redefined the term "jump the shark," a la nuking the
Mhm.
fridge. The only saving
I
grace I can give that movie is the only thing is that at least he actually got to marry Marion Ravenwood, but that's about it.
I'm not a very big Indiana Jones because I think that took time from George Lucas. I think we would have got our prequels a lot sooner.
You mean the sequels?
Yeah. Uh the George when George did the Indiana Jones, I think that took him. And I'm not saying they're bad movies. I love the first one. The second one I could do without. I am not a fan of Short Round. Sorry. Love the third one. The fourth one. The second and the fourth one I can do without, you know. And honestly, I think Indiana Jones should have ended there. Done. To
Yeah,
me,
I personally just really like Raiders of the Lost Ark the most.
to me, this is nothing more. I'll said it about Obi-Wan. I'm going to say this with Indiana Jones. This is a cash grab. And knowing Disney the way I know Disney, they're going to Indiana Jones might be uh Harrison Ford's last one, and it might be Indiana Jones's last one until they get someone to do a remake. Uh,
Yeah, but
I
they're
think
gonna
it'll be
remake it.
they're going to try to do the passing of the torch,
Yeah, they're gonna do it with that chick. She's gonna become Indiana Jones, and of course, there's gonna be some
and
convoluted time travel stuff.
Yeah, Phoebe
again,
Waller-Bridge.
that's going to automatically put a fork into Indiana Jones. I will tell you this: save your money, save your brain. Don't even watch it or acknowledge it. Don't even acknowledge the last one. It wasn't that great. Stick with the first 3 and be done. Indiana Jones when him and his dad rides into the sunset. Perfect. Done. Goodbye. They have to learn to say goodbye to the series. That's their problem.
None of these companies know how to say goodbye to these franchises, or at least let them rest for, you know, 10, 15 years before they put out a new one. None of them do.
No, yeah, but but really, they just want to keep churning it out, and they keep saying, "More money, please! More money, please!"
For years, we wanted a true end to Captain Kirk. Generations wasn't great, it wasn't bad, but that was not the way Captain Kirk goes out. I didn't like even when J.J. Abrams did his Star Trek and then ruined Captain Kirk's dad going out. Captain Kirk should go out in a blaze of glory. Enterprise on fire, Last Hope, it goes out in a blaze of glory. That's how it goes. He don't need old Snoke who can't do his job as a captain to go reach in the past to try to drag him forward because he can't throw a punch. Sorry. If you watch Generations, you know what I'm talking about.
Uh, I I know what you're talking about, and I've even thrown around this idea. Call it crazy, call it stupid, but there should have been a scene on the Enterprise D with Kirk and Kirk in the captain's chair for a brief moment. Have it make sense in the story where Kirk is in command of the Enterprise D for a short time.
Well, I did like in Generations, he sits in the chair and then he realized, you know what? I'm not the captain anymore. I have the rank. I have the expertise. This guy's the captain. So he sits him and tells him, you sit in that chair, you're the captain. I'm going to go take care of it. But that's traditional Kirk. Captain Kirk is going to do something like that. Can you tell me Captain Picard's going to do that? No, Captain Picard's going to sit in that chair, give out orders, make the guy who is the captain, you go deal with that array up there. I'm going to control things down here. I know.
Mr. McCracken, what are you doing in my chair?
What can I say? I'm just pulling out the truth. That's all. Like I said, all this stuff, they can't end it. And if they can't end it, they find another way. Remember, they brought Captain Kirk back with J.J. Abrams. They did something good. And then they were supposed to do a fourth one. And they've been talking that for like last 12 years?
They've been talking about it ever since Star Trek Beyond, that they're going to do a fourth J.J. Abrams movie. And that was 6 years ago that movie came out.
Like I said, it isn't just one studio company. It's all of them, and they keep on doing it and doing it. Yeah.
So our next article here comes from comicbook.com, and it says new Donkey Kong game potentially teased at Nintendo update. This was posted on comicbook.com yesterday. It's by Logan Moore. It says a recent update from Nintendo has teased the arrival of a new game associated with Donkey Kong. For well over a year at this point, we've continued to hear that the Nintendo Switch could soon get a new title of some sort that is tied to the iconic ape. And while Nintendo has yet to confirm in any capacity that this will be happening, a recent move tied to the company may have just teased an upcoming Donkey Kong related announcement. Spotted by Karul Country on Twitter, Nintendo just updated its trademark filing for Donkey Kong at the end of June 2022. While this is something that companies have to do all the time to retain their various trademarks, Nintendo's newest filing tied to Donkey Kong altered a few things. Notably, the trademark listing says that Donkey Kong has now been filed in such a way to involve downloadable programs for home video game consoles. With this in mind, some fans are of the belief that this could be Nintendo's way of setting the stage for a new Donkey Kong game on Switch in the future. Goes on to say, even though it would be logical for Nintendo to release a new Donkey Kong title for the Switch, there is a chance that this trademark filing could be related to something else entirely. One possibility involves Nintendo bringing back a Donkey Kong game from the past in a new manner. Specifically, this could be tied to Donkey Kong 64, which is a game that a number of people have wanted to see playable on Nintendo Switch in recent months. Nintendo has been bringing over N64 games to Nintendo Switch online for subscribers to play as part of its expansion pack tier. And while nothing is official just yet, it very much seems like Donkey Kong 64 could be one of the titles landing on the platform at some point. Do you think this updated trademark from Nintendo is proof we're about to get an announcement involved with Donkey Kong soon? Well, what do you guys think?
I don't know, but again, everything with Nintendo regarding the rights to certain characters, like I know we also got characters like Banjo and Kazooie in Smash Bros, but technically they're owned by Rare.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I know for a time Donkey Kong was also owned by Rare, but now he's more closely associated with Nintendo now.
That's true because Rare played a big part in producing the Donkey Kong Country games.
For the NES, yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess this could be one of those wait and see types of thing. We'll either see a new game on the Switch or it'll be, Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, and I'd say again, I know, given I know Nintendo's expansion passing, I know for everyone, I know N64 was probably the first game console I ever played and owned back when I was very, very young. I literally got it like Christmas 1997 playing Mario Kart and GoldenEye. And it truly was like one of my earliest gaming memories. And then later I got the Dreamcast and the original Xbox and the 360. And I also have more recent consoles with the Xbox One and PS4. I don't have any of the newer stuff yet. I want to get a Switch.
Yeah, I wanted to get a Switch when it first came out, but I had to really look at it like this. I don't have any room for it on my entertainment center. It's like I already have, Blu-ray players and DVD players and a couple other consoles. I don't have any more room for another console.
Yeah, but I know one thing. There is a, I can't believe it, but also I know I have like an Xbox 360. I still have my Xbox 360, but there's only one game that is not back. There's not that you cannot play on like the newer consoles, and that's Jet Set Radio Future. I actually still have the game, but Sega ain't gonna put it out there.
Mm-mm.
But other than that, I mean, again, it's like it's a lot different because the whole thing about backwards compatibility. I mean, Nintendo, they could easily do all this kind of backwards compatibility stuff because they own all the license to all these games and franchises, so they easily could have done this. But still, it makes you wonder why they don't just put like new character, like just newer, like or just make like newer games. I mean, sure, we had Star Fox Zero come out, but why don't we just port that game over to the Switch?
It's not hard to do. Not
Yeah, I
nowadays.
don't know.
I know this is going to make me sound woke, and this will be my attempt at being woke. I don't agree with Nintendo and the cultural appropriation of Mario and how it betrays my people. Culturally insulting, and it hurts my feelings. There's my rant about Nintendo. Culturally appropriation of Mario and Luigi.
Oh yeah, I know we already know that, but heck, we don't even know their original names if we're gonna go by the damn Mario Brothers live action movie. Yeah, their names are
Mario, and Luigi Mario.
Mario. Just like what the? Why you gotta be?
That was my attempt of being joke. I never offended, didn't bother me, didn't care.
Exactly. Hey, Italy should really have like an amazing character that probably represents them as a country. Pretty sure. He's like Mario's like one of the most recognizable video game characters of all time.
I never took any animation character in a negative way or an insulting way. To me, it's just a cartoon character.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to, I personally, because it's part of my culture, Pinocchio. If they mess with that tradition that we have already set down, that's Italian folklore. We're told as kids, you tell a lie, your nose is going to grow. It was a way to make your children behave. You don't want your nose growing too long. But I'm scared to see what's going to happen in today's world with a folklore. If they mess it up, I'm going to be a very unhappy camper.
Okay.
I wouldn't even watch it, Phil, to be honest. So our last story here comes from Bounty in the Comics. It's by Ryan Pearson. It was posted just today. And it says, Lollipop Chainsaw Remake announced promises a more realistic approach to graphics. Now, to give you all the background on Lollipop Chainsaw. It was basically a spoof of all the Romero, you know, dead movies and
Yeah, it was on all the zombie films. Yep.
yeah. And
But
I first heard about it 10 years ago from a friend that I worked with. He's all like, you got to try this new game called Lollipop Chainsaw Cheerleader. And just the name in itself made me go, are you on drugs?
yeah, I mean, this is coming from the twisted mind of the same man who made like No More Heroes, Killer 7, and Shadows of the Damned. And of course, James Gunn also had a hand in some of this too.
Yeah,
So
he did. So eventually I rented the game and I played it. Well, this game's fun. This game's a lot of fun. So then I eventually bought it. And I still have my copy to this day.
Yes, three little words that basically describe this: cheerleader fights zombies.
Zombies,
Shout out to your punctuation there.
yes. So Dragami Games announced they are working on a remake of Lollipop Chainsaw with a more realistic approach to graphics this time. The game's announcement was initially teased by Yoshimi Yasuda, former president and CEO of Kadokawa Games, leaving in May to form and become CEO of Dragami Games and executive producer on the original Lollipop Chainsaw. Lollipop Chainsaw is back by Dragami Games. Please look forward to it. Yasuda tweeted in English and Japanese. This was followed by another teaser featuring a compilation of Kadokawa games that Dragami Games had acquired along with 30 developers. And then it's showing the tweet right here. It says Lollipop Chainsaw Remake. The studio then tweeted on July 5th before adding in Japanese and English. Development of the Lollipop Chainsaw Remake will be handled by a combination of development staff from the original version, including Yasuda, and development staff from Dragami Games. A scant few other details were revealed the same day. Dragami Games officially announced the launch of Lollipop Chainsaw Remake, tentative title in 2023. Platforms, however, were not revealed at this time. Yasuda would provide further details on what the remake wouldn't include and that would change, as well as providing details on the development of the original Lollipop Chainsaw game. He began 14 years have passed since I started the Lollipop Chainsaw project. Lollipop Chainsaw was born as a result of Suda51 discussing creating a new game with me. I saw great potential in Grasshopper Manufacturer's proposal, and just 1 month after Kadokawa Games was founded in April 2009, we started the development project on Lollipop Chainsaw in May 2009. As Suda-san was very busy handling development on other projects at the time, I served as director and producer, creating a joint development team consisting of staff from Grasshopper Manufacturer and Kadokawa Games, overseeing development directly. Suda-san looked over the game design and supervised the project as an executive producer. In January 2010, the aid of a friend of mine working at Warner Brothers led to us successfully grasping a chance with the Warner Brothers Greenlit Committee, and Warner Brothers thus becoming the publisher for the game in all regions outside of Asia. Yasuda revealed, furthermore, a Warner Brothers senior manager suggested that we have the game script rewritten and that we leave it to film director James Gunn, which we gladly agreed to. Gunn was credited as writer, while Yuki was credited as the scenario. All of this good fortune resulted in Lollipop Chainsaw, which released in June 2012, being loved by many players all over the world, selling over 1 million units worldwide. Unfortunately, various factors resulted in things making it so that fans can no longer easily play Lollipop Chainsaw unless you actually have a physical copy. And it has been some time since players have not been able to access the game on current consoles. Yasuda admitted, "We, the original development staff on Lollipop Chainsaw, think of the game as very precious to us," Yasuda conveyed, "and did not want to leave it in limbo where players who want to play it cannot. As such, we purchased the Lollipop Chainsaw intellectual property from Kawa Games and decided to develop a remake," Yasuda clarified. "We have already contacted Warner Brothers about development and are being supported by them in this endeavor. One thing that we have to tell fans of the original game is that even though the original staff are working on the remake, there will be elements that are different from the original. For instance, the original game had 15 licensed songs used in the soundtrack, but it is unfortunately difficult for us to implement all of them this time. As a result, aside from a few licensed tracks, the soundtrack will consist of new music," Yasuda announced. "Additionally, since we have access to consoles with higher specifications, we will be taking a more realistic approach to the graphics this time. In any case, our goal is to make it easier for gamers who want to play Lollipop Chainsaw to do so. Please look forward to the game's 2023 release," Yasuda concluded. And of course, some people weren't having it because as soon as they heard that things were going to be changing with updated graphics, they were thinking censorship, as it says here in this paragraph. Some not only expressed concern over the game's realistic art style this time around, but also fears of censorship, even that the realism was a metaphor for censorship. The latter isn't entirely unfounded, as games have seen plenty of censorship against sexual content in video games. Lollipop Chainsaw's protagonist, Juliet Starling, is typically decked out in the cheerleader outfit with cleavage and a short skirt, with more than a few cutscenes emphasizing the fact. Her unlockable costumes include bikinis, Daisy Dukes, a skin type motorcycle racing suit with an open zipper almost reaching her crotch, and more. And then, of course, you see different responses from different folks on Twitter. There's this one right here that says Thon Bikini or Bust. I am tired of all these remakes promising changes as a precondition beyond the licenses, says one Twitter commenter. "I'll put money on a change like Tifa had in Final Fantasy VII Remake," YouTuber Power Dark proposed, alluding to Final Fantasy VII Remake being subject to Square Enix's ethics department reducing the size of Tifa's chest. Skirt will be raised, added layer of fabric under her top, shorts under the skirt. If we're lucky, it won't be a full outfit change. And this other Twitter user says, "I know more realistic refers to the graphics, but usually I don't trust the word realistic in a video game." I'm not going to read all these, but you know, honestly, it it's one of those things where fans just want the game to stick close to its original material and keep it that way. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say the whole thing when all those like skimpy outfits she wears, like you want to appeal. Like since they say, oh, we gotta remove all that stuff, like we saw with the recent Mortal Kombat games. You want to remove that to try to defeat the male gaze. Excuse me, but you also want to say you also advocate for the outfit community. So you don't think a bisexual or lesbian chick would have found like Juliet or any very attractive female vegan character attractive to look at? Like, come on. Like, you really are just like really kidding yourself here. So really everything is like you don't really know what the hell you're really trying to do. You just want to do it because you want to make it make women feel safer but yet you're also sort of like not allowing other women who might actually, because let's be honest here, guys, we all want to look at something we find attractive, men and women alike.
True.
Yeah, news reporters, they hire the people that look the best on camera. They wouldn't hire me.
No, I mean, that's the thing. I have a local lady that's on the news. She does the weather. They never shoot below her chest. And the reason because she's pear-shaped. She isn't eye candy below the waist, below the chest. You're right. News anchors, women, if they're old, they don't want them there. They put them. The funny thing is, if they're old and they're still good, then they take them off the desk and send them back on the street where they first started as a news reporter on the street.
In the field, yeah.
And I'm sorry. Look, you eye candy, and I hate to say sometimes women do it to themselves, and I'm not really saying that, but what I'm trying to say is actors or actresses in the 70s had to look a certain way. Today in 2024, you're not looking at that actress to look the same way as she did in 1974. It's just age is going to catch up with everybody.
Exactly the point.
When it comes to women and eye candy, they will always be able to catch the eye. It's a fact. When you're
and it's the same thing for all the things. Why do you think we see a lot of guys who are shirtless on a lot of these superhero films? It's there to appeal to it's eye candy for female audiences too.
A woman is like a peacock. They flaunt their feathers. They make themselves all look more colorful than what they normally would be on an everyday. And once they catch you, I'm not saying they're not colorful anymore, but they're not doing it like they do on the first through 10th date that you go on with.
No.
You wake up and you look at them, they don't have the makeup on. And they can say the same thing for men. You might be all buff and stuff when you're athletic and you're in high school or out of high school. But as soon as you start getting that 40 and 50 age, let's face it, you can't. You have to let nature take its course.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's eye candy for women too. If they're telling you they're not looking, we all look. We all look. And even if you're looking at a statue or a picture or a person on television, I see it sometimes. I say it's art. You're all mystified about the beauty of the human look.
Yeah, and what we've seen in Greek mythology,
exactly.
The Adonis. Yeah, that is the picture of what human perfection is. And of course, I know, sure, we have our imperfections. Like I know people like model Gigi Hadid, she has like a whole, and only those are small imperfections about them. But I mean, I still promote the idea of wanting to be in good health always, no matter what.
If you ask the woman tomorrow, what do they want to be? What if they could go back in time and be any age? I want to be 18 again before I had kids. That would be their prime example of them going back. I'm sorry, I don't want to ask Kathy, but she's probably the only woman we have right now in chat. I'm pretty sure she would say if she could go back in time, she would love to be 18. No, that's the perfect way. Age with grace. I have all my hair. I'm 50 years old. I'm grateful for it. I understand some men that can't handle it. So they go with the shaving of the head. That's all fine. But what line did they give you? Oh, I'm shaving my head because it's cool. No, they're shaving their head because they don't have a choice. Mike, Jet, me, we have hair. We have a choice. The choice is ours if we want to let our hair grow out or if we want to shave it. Same thing with
I mean,
women.
for example, the only time of year I really like to shave my hair down is summertime, right now, because it's
Yes,
hot and
because you
humid.
don't like that feeling on your neck. I know exactly. But wintertime, you want that extra hair there because when it gets cold out there, that's the first place you feel it on the neck. You know, I'm the same
Mhm.
way, Mike. I'm the same way. But I fall in the line with Kathy. When you age with grace. Man, your time's going to catch up with you. When you're in your
Exactly.
50s
And
and
I mean, I see
60s,
it with my father. I
yeah,
mean, but it's only because he also because he picked up a lot of bad habits in his
right.
earlier years, and now those things are all
But
those bad habits are catching up with him.
But things happen to you. I mean, for myself, I take medication, a lot of medication. I have my own pharmacy, and unfortunately, the medicine is destroying my teeth. So I am losing teeth, not because I want to or I haven't taken care of them. Just it's a losing battle. The medication is it's literally disintegrating my teeth. So I'm conscious about it, but I accept it. There are some people, they lost their teeth at age 30, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm lucky I have what I have at age 50. But, you know, I know women that still to this day, they try to be 20 and they're 60. And to me, as a person, not by anybody else's choice, my choice, worst thing is running up to somebody my age trying to act like they are 20.
So
Not showing
it's
maturity of
basically
their
Steve Buscemi walking out with a skateboard saying, How do you do, fellow kids?"
age.
Yeah, but it ain't like that. I mean, I'm still relatively young. I'm only in my late 20s. But the thing is, earlier, I mean, I had to deal with depression, and I've had to, take antidepressants, and that was really, really messing me up. I was not getting better. I felt like I was getting worse.
Society, pressure from society, and just overall pressure as you're aging. That does affect a person's mentality and depression. And sometimes I know as I aged, you lose things as you're aging. Family members, you lose some. Young and old, you lose them.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with it. Your life isn't the same. Let's just say, in general, most of us when we were young, 10, 12 years old, life was great. You just did what your parents told you to do, go out and play your
Go to
video game.
school.
Yep,
Yeah,
go to school.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
it.
And I mean, you could be careful. You could just do a lot of stuff and just do everything without a care in the
Everything
world. And
was
now,
taken care of for you. When you lose a parent, and I'm not talking like a divorce or a separation, when you lose a parent and they pass, you never get that back. And I'm not
Yep.
busting on anybody about step parents or anything like that. There's a different attachment when it's your actual parent.
yes,
Not saying you don't
you're.
feel something for your step parents. I'm not saying that. I'm
Well,
just
I
saying,
can't really say that.
but I'm saying for parents, when a parent, a mother or father passes, irreplaceable.
Yes.
Well,
Irreplaceable.
I can speak for myself, having lost my mother last year and having lost my father 18 years ago. A part of you goes with it and they pass.
Yeah, and I will also speak from experience. I felt that with my own grandmother,
Mhm.
and I mean, I already know I'm gonna feel that same way with my grandfather, and eventually my father, and eventually my own mother. I'm gonna feel it with all of them.
Enjoy the time you have. I lost my dad 1995. He was only 60, cancer. My mom had cancer. She survived and she's still with me today. I cherish every moment I have with my mom. I cherish what we had in the past, present, and hopefully a little bit more in the future. With my dad passing, it was hard, but I do acknowledge, I accept the time I did have was the best time I could have as a father and son and as a family. But like I said, I lost children when I was married. I had my wife, my ex had two miscarriages. I had 5 kids. I still say 5, even though the other 2 died as miscarriages. That was very traumatic as losing my dad. You know, regardless of what someone tells you, I come from the belief that, you know, any form of life coming out, I don't care if they survived, it was a living thing.
Mhm.
So I always say I had 5 children. I have 3 today. They're grown up and they have children. So, but I know loss. I felt loss. And that's the thing about life. As a child, you're supposed to be protected from it. But then as you get older, you realize that's the name of the game. We are going to die. You don't want to realize that. I don't want to realize that. But there's going to be a day we're going to pass. The only thing you can say is like your parents. They lived their life. They gave you the knowledge. They gave you what they could give you. Now you take that and you run with it. And that's it. You know, I don't mean to be a downer, guys. I didn't want
No,
to bring
no,
you down.
no, because
No,
I was going to
look,
bring up something that my mom used to always say. You know, you look at a gravestone and it has the year the person was born and the year the person died. And in the middle is the line in between. That's their life.
Yep. The only thing I will ever say about society today, when someone says a tragedy, it shouldn't happen. That's why it's called a tragedy. Always remember, nothing's guaranteed in life. Tomorrow, one of us can step out the foot of our house and never come back. That's
yeah,
what
and
makes everything that you do very important. When you say something to somebody, try to always never end it on bad terms because tomorrow is not guaranteed. And you don't want the last thing said to that person being maybe flip the bird. You know, you have to think about them things because, like I said, you don't even have to leave your house for a disaster to happen. And none of us has control over it. None of us. I don't care if it's a shooting. I don't care if it's a car accident.
yeah,
You pretty much are left to your fate. And unfortunately, we don't have control over that.
exactly. And I
So,
mean, again, and a few of the stories I write, grief and how it affects people is a very core feature. I mean, there's only 2 things grief can do to you. It can motivate you to move forward, or you can wallow in it and you can basically destroy yourself further and even be driven insane.
yep. Some people don't, you'd be surprised who dies in someone's family. Some people can bounce it off and keep going. And there is, yes, some people, more spouses, but yeah, father and children's, they can't handle it. They can't accept it. Why did my child die before me? Or why did I lose both my parents at the same time in a car accident? Some, like I said, you can have 2 siblings. One sibling says, I accept it, it's done, it's fate. My parents would want me to move on. The other child might be, I can never let this go. I can never accept this.
Yeah,
It's human.
exactly.
It's human nature. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't like people saying we can do something to stop. No, you can put every law in effect. You can't put the genie back in the bottle when it comes to a gun. A gun is meant to kill people, and if you don't know what it's capable of and respect it, same thing like a car. A car is a machine. But if Mike tries to be, oh, I'm the next best NASCAR driver on the street, and he does try to do a burnout and he accidentally hits a kid, you can't take that back.
Well, Monday I'm out driving with a friend, and of course, it's busy 4th of July traffic. I had somebody cut me off, and I had to slam on the brakes.
And if you didn't slam on the brakes, you and them would have been in a situation. Who knows how it would have worked out?
I remember one time, my grandpa was picking me up from school one day, and right as we were about to come in, there's some stock car just rockets past the intersection. If we had actually were passing right as that guy was coming, and again it was passing by my side, I probably would not be here right now, or my grandfather maybe. And again, it's just often sometimes fake and sometimes you fake. But I mean, again, I'd say if God is also truly good to you, I think He will protect you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And like I said, we don't know what our destiny or what our future holds. That's the thing. I just disagree when I hear people say, I grew up in the age, and Mike probably remembers this, Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I've seen more drink driving than I did when I was in the 80s. Where are the Mothers Against Drunk Driving?
You don't hear about them anymore.
Too busy screaming at a manager at a local
go.
Walmart.
I mean,
they've now become Karens against their own egos or something like that.
But that's what I say to people. I'm not saying a tragedy can't be avoided. I just don't like the idea that you can think you're God. Look, the Titanic was meant to sink. Even if I could send Jet Spark back in time, put him on the Titanic, and he says, "We're going to hit an iceberg."
And everyone would think I'm crazy,
and they would lock them up somewhere on the ship until it actually hits the iceberg. And the funny thing is, Jet Spark, a week ago, a ocean liner by a Norwegian cruise line hit an iceberg. Exactly. They had to go back to port. It didn't sink, but it hit it in the exact same way, but in broad daylight, an iceberg. Same way the Titanic. So, and of course, I would welcome Jet Spark to join me and Woompa against a big conspiracy and the loss of life of outfielders that go to Wrigley Field and get killed by the ivy. This tragedy must be stopped.
I think it's kind of ironic. I think my dad actually went there just a few days ago
to Wrigley Field.
Yep, up in Chicago. Yep,
they got to chop the ivory down. It's a little side joke me and Woompa have with Mike. We're to talk about the horrors of the ivy in Wrigley Field. Mike doesn't like to acknowledge it, but me and Woompa.
Well, all I know is that ivy can make you itchy, but I don't think it would be enough to kill you.
It's a joke on YouTube.
Oh.
Me and Woompa run with it.
Yeah. You know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at the standings, and after we look at the standings, we can wrap this up. But yeah,
I love you, brother Woompa. Say there you go. Just say no to ivy.
Whoopa. Who won this last series between the Cubs and the Cardinals, by the way? Huh? I'm not hearing you, Whoopa.
I'll be going now. See you guys.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Jet Spark. Really appreciate it, brother. So
where's my A's stand? Where's in our little fun rivalry between the A's and the Cubs? I know you're like 8-9 games ahead.
The A's are currently sitting at 28 wins against 56 losses. Meanwhile, the Cubs are at 34 wins against 48 losses.
So it's still 6 games back.
Yeah.
I'm going down. I want to go down on record. We're going to Woompa, listen to me. The A's are going to have a better record than the Cubs, and the Ivy has to go down.
No, Kathy, the ivy out there on the outfield wall at Wrigley Field isn't poison ivy.
Depends on your definition.
Despite what one person in the chat would say by the name of Whoopa Troopa, and the other person here on the panel would say in the name of Phil McCracken.
Yeah,
and I don't know, Phil and Whoopa. We're not sitting too far down in the standings. We're in third place. I know our record stinks, but we're in third place right now, and I'll take that. I'll take whatever I can get. Yeah, we're 10 games behind you guys in the win column. But you know what? At least we're not the Reds.
The spirit of Marv Shot still lives on in Cincinnati.
Oh boy, that's a can of worms in itself.
Just remember, she did make sure that team you couldn't have a pierced earring in your ear.
Oh, she didn't like him.
No, she didn't. And then she threatened if anybody did have a pierced earring on her team, trade them right away or cut them. Good old Mars Shot. That lady used to crack me up. She was good entertainment value. I don't agree with her beliefs, but her entertainment value was very entertaining. When you have an owner like that, you just want to tell him, be quiet, but she never did.
Come on, Whoopi. Even you gotta like that slogan. At least we're not the Reds. But I do want to thank everybody for watching tonight's edition of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk. I want to thank Jet Sparks for hopping on the panel. Phil, I want to thank you as always for hopping on the panel.
I know you went an hour extra than you really wanted to, but it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, it was.
And we had Woompa. What can we say? Kathy and Woompa.
Whoopa's always a story. Well, we didn't just have Kathy and Whoopa. We had several other people show up too. And, you know,
I'm old.
People are always,
I'm
always lurking.
I keep telling you, I'm old and forgetful.
I mean,
go by the current. Yeah, George.
We had the man himself.
George, he needs to go worry about making another Indiana Jones movie.
We had DJ Ronnie G.
I love DJ. DJ is cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. You know, everybody who showed up tonight, whether they showed up in chat or they were just lurking, you're all cool. I appreciate the support. Even when I do talk about the Cubs. Thank you. You can tolerate that.
I just
want Stargate. Thank you.
Can't wait for the Athletics to catch up and pass the Cubs in standings. Just our little side thing there, little competition. That would be awesome. Come 6 games back. We have to do this, Mike, because it's the only thing our teams are capable of entertaining us with at this point, right?
True. There was one year where I did make a bet with one of my dad's CHP buddies because my dad was a California Highway Patrol officer. So one of his buddies would always come over, and he was a big Padre fan. And I made a bet with him.
Wait a minute. Padres fans exist?
Yes, Phil. Padres fans exist.
I think after, what was that great outfielder that played for the Padres?
Tony Gwynn?
Yeah, after Tony Gwynn, I thought it was all over. Team folded shop, and they just throw double and triple A players in there just for the heck of it.
But anyways, me and this guy, you know, we made a bet that whoever had the team that finished with the better record, well, the person who lost the bet would have to give the other $5. I ended up winning the bet at the end of the season, and I always reminded him about it. I said, "Yeah, who won that bet?" And I knew I could get away with it because my dad was there.
Well, I'm not to be mean about the San Diego Padres, but it's not, you know what? Even when they're doing good, you just don't know about them. You don't hear nothing from them, good, bad, or otherwise. Sometimes you even forget they're a team in Major League Baseball.
That's true.
I mean, when was the last time you heard any news from the San Diego Padres in the last 4 years?
I haven't heard anything nationally. I mean,
yeah,
of course, I keep.
I mean, they're there. They're taking up space, but you know, you can't even tell me if they stink or they're great or they're mediocre. You can't even name a player now on the San Diego Padres.
I can, because he was a former Cub.
Oh, because he was a former Cub. Okay. You know,
I mean, you also have Fernando Tatis Jr.
You know,
okay, so maybe I'm the exception. Maybe I'm the exception because I do try to pay attention to what's going on in the game besides what's going on in pop culture.
Yeah. Well, you know what? The sad thing is, like I said, the Padres can make it even into a playoff. It's just not that, it's just when you're talking, and especially in baseball, they're just not a team you would talk about. Even if the Braves were like 20, only had 20 wins, you would still hear people talk about the Braves. Bad as they are, they would complain or stuff like that. Padres are just like, okay, it's just the Padres.
Well, even this past weekend, they had the Cubs and Red Sox game from Wrigley Field on TV. Why? Because it's the Cubs and Red Sox. Even when the Cubs suck, you want to have the Cubs on there because the Cubs are a nationally known team. Padres, unfortunately, aren't nationally known.
I think the popularity is more with the White Sox than it is the Cubs. I'm sorry.
Ha ha ha. I also want to thank the Nerdporial Life Form. I also want to thank GMC, also known as Games, Moves, and Comics.
Oh, you never did explain about that last comment before you went off the air last night. Did you really resign your commission and are done with Tuesday Night Trek?
You'll just have to tune in, Phil.
I at least earned the ability to know if you're going to be on Tuesday Night Trek.
You'll just have to tune in.
Okay, so it was a joke and you're going to be back. Okay, all's right in the world.
I also want to thank fellow Cub fan Alan Copeland.
Wait a minute, he's a Cubs fan?
Yes.
No, no wonder I have issues with him.
Okay, Phil. I also want to thank Captain Phantom Nerd for stopping by. And of course, it was a pleasure having Jet Sparks on the panel again. Thank you, brother.
Can I say something real quick?
No.
Please.
Fine.
Thank you.
Phil McCracken.
The horror of today of somebody deciding to blow up the Guardian Stones. I don't know if you know what the Guardian Stones are.
I do.
Okay. Not necessarily you have to agree with the beliefs of it. And again, this is not put on public property, so it's private property. To go there and blow up these stones for no reason at all. The only thing them things up there is telling you if there's a natural disaster and if you're going to rebuild the world, please do this and limited the amount of population. I'm not saying you have to agree with it, but it's on private land. It was privately paid for. And if you don't like it, don't have to look at it. I don't see in this, I'm very not tolerant of taking down statues and monuments. I don't agree with it. I'm always agreed with if you don't like it, just don't look at it. I don't care what the monument is. Everybody's entitled to one. To do this and trying to blow it up because today's society, yeah. I mean, it's easy to say, I don't like something, so I'm going to go blow it up. What happens if they don't like what you have to say or you believe, and you have a statue out there of maybe Donald Duck? Can I go over to your statue on your public property and go blow it up? What are we sending out the message to people, man? Like I said, I don't agree with it, but it's not like it's on public property. It's private property, privately paid for. If you want to go up there and read it, read it. If you want to marvel at it for artistic reasons, that's fine. But if you totally hate it, drive on by, pass it. It ain't going to ruin your day. I don't know.
That'd be like me going up to your house because you're flying your A's flag, or me going up to Whoopa's house because he's flying a St. Louis Cardinals flag.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like I said, I mean, to see it, it had to be someone with knowledge to do explosive. Like, it didn't bring the monument down; it did damage it, but they end up having to knock it down anyway. But let's say the person that put that went up in the early mid '80s. No one knows who did it. But guess what? You don't know. That person can be a gazillionaire. He's probably going to build it, put it back up, and probably he's going to put protection around it this time. I feel sad because it had like a free, if you look at it, a free look to it where there's no restrictions, no nothing beside a fence around it, around the area. But look at them people. They're just looking and marveling. I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, no one's going to actually look. We haven't had an ending of the world event yet. So anything on that monument is purely what do you call it? It's not fact, but it's nice to read, and I just thought it would be, if I ever took a trip to Georgia, I wouldn't mind taking a look at it. It's a shame to destroy something like that. I mean, that took somebody a lot of work and a lot of money. And whoever destroyed it or attempted to destroy it, if they find them, not just give them jail time, make them go to work and make them have to fork over the money to pay for it.
Make them do the work and make them rebuild it.
Oh, that would be even better. Give them a hammer and chisel and say, get to work. I mean, there's some statues I don't like for my own beliefs and everything. I'm not going to go take a hammer and chisel, go knock it down. I'm not going to take a bomb and try to explode it. What happens if the bomb didn't go off when they left and some family pulled over later the next day and the bomb went off then and it kills the family? Thankfully, no one.
They want that on their conscience. The sad thing is, if they're willing to destroy a monument, destroy private property, they wouldn't care about a human life.
Yeah, that's the sad thing in the world. But like I said, again, please remember, people, this is not a public monument. This is a private monument that is open to the public. I consider that like the same thing about that guy in Florida, the old guy who built that whole park because he was in love with the girl. I forget the name of the park, but he built it all out of limestone. Crafted. Even today, people don't know how he did it by himself. But to me, if someone would try to destroy that, that's to me, it's 1,000 wrongs. I don't want to see any monument get destroyed. I'm not against moving a monument, but I am against destroying or desecrating a monument. I don't care what it is, or who made it, or who it belongs to. Everybody has a right to put a monument up. If it's on public property, you may have a little say, but private property, like I said, this was on private property, open to the public.
I'm against destroying anyone's personal property.
Yeah.
If it's not yours, don't touch it.
There you go. And like I said, really, Pacific, if the person really didn't like it, why are you going near it? Be me.
Walk away. Look away. Mind your own business.
Keep driving on the highway. If there is a person on the highway that's flying the flag of South Dakota, if I don't like the flag of South Dakota, guess what? I'm going to drive past it. I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to keep going on with my day. If you make it worse for yourself when you stop and start arguing with someone, oh, they have the flag of South Dakota. I personally don't have an argument with the flag of South Dakota. I'm just using it as an example. People have to be more intelligent and have, I like to say, couth. We lost intelligence and couth, Like you said, you fly the Cubs flag, you're in Oakland, I wouldn't get mad at you. I would make fun of you, but I'd make fun of myself because my team's sucking too. But, be the same thing. If I was in Chicago or around a bunch of Cubs fans and I'm an Oakland A's fan, I kind of expect a little bit of the rubbing and the put down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. But then again, I don't have to, if Mike's flying his Cubs flag and he's dressed up in his Cubs suit, I'll just drive right past him. Keep going. If it bothered me that much. So, sorry, that was my rant for today. God knows what tomorrow they want to blow up, tear down, destroy, move, or whatever.
One of these
Diving,
days,
might be a Wrigley
it's gonna
Field.
get better. I don't know when, but one of these days, it's got to get better.
Yep. You know, you and me grew up in the 80s. We had people had their disagreements there, but everybody, the philosophy was you do your thing, I do mine.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great philosophy.
Live and let live.
There you go. Live and let live. You know, and that's another thing. I talked about people saying they want to stop everything, like they can actually do a stoppage to it, which they can't. Here's the thing. Not everybody can get along. It's human nature. Love and to hate. If I didn't like Mike, then what can I do? I can avoid Mike, not talk to Mike, not be around Mike, and that's perfectly fine. Which is not the case. I like Mike; he's my friend. But just as an example, you don't like something, you don't like someone, and even if you say I can't get along with these people, if let's say they're the green people, I can understand that and I can accept it. The difference is when you say, I want to do something to the green people, I want to say something to the green people. If you don't like green people, just leave them be, go on with your life.
Yep.
That's all. It's not that hard. We can all live on this planet. We don't have to get along, but we all can live in peace. Planet's big. You know?
Yeah, there's plenty of room for all of us.
Yep.
So
if not, then we get rid of Mike and now make room for 3 or 4 other people. Now he's small. He ain't bad. I am young. That's just a joke.
5'10", brother.
5'10". 5'9.5", maybe.
5'10".
5'9.25".
5'10".
With shoes on.
With shoes off.
I'm with you, my brother.
Causing trouble. Ending the stream by causing trouble. Wouldn't have it any other way.
I don't. Yeah, the only thing worse would be, the Brits. Love you all.
On that note, everybody, thank you all for watching tonight's edition of PACIFIC414 Pop Talk. Yes, Kathy has it right. Agree to disagree. Hope you all have a good rest of your Wednesday evening. I will be back at midnight to give my live reaction to episode 6 of the Orville New Horizons, Twice in a Lifetime. And then I will be hopping over to Norporeal Lifeforms channel to give the spoiler review.
The best
Twice in a
Star Trek
Lifetime
show on TV. The best Star Trek show on TV.
But I do want to let you know that during the live reaction here on this channel, I will be giving my non-spoiler review for the episode after the episode concludes before I hop over to Norporeal's channel. He already knows this. So I will see you all in, less than 45 minutes. So thank you all very much.
Have a good night.
Have a good rest of your night. And
love you, Wumpa. Night, Kathy.
Night, Kathy. Night, Whoopa. Night, DJ Ronnie G. Night, Jet Sparks. Night, everyone.